Chapter 136. By the time Lu Qin returned to his apartment, it was already late at night. After finishing all the competitions of Singing China, and winning the national singing champion, Lu Qin and everyone went to Forget Grass Bar to celebrate and partied until midnight. He completely relaxed himself and didn't know how many glasses of wine he drank. In a daze he was sent home by Lu Shi. When he arrived at the apartment, Lu Qin sobered up a lot. "Sister, why did you bring me back here?" Lu Shi said angrily, "If I didn't send you back here, would I have left you alone in the studio? Drunk people actually need to be taken care of very much." Of course she would not leave Lu Qin alone. Unexpectedly, Lu Qin's alcohol tolerance was good, and he didn't get drunk and unconscious. In the bar, she watched her brother being poured glass after glass of wine, but everyone was so enthusiastic and happy in the evening, so it was not good to spoil the mood and stop them. She just felt a little distressed. Now that she saw that Lu Qin was sober, her sister was finally relieved. If she had known earlier, she would have left him in the studio. Lu Qin said with a smile, "Then I'll sleep on the sofa." This single apartment was originally rented by Lu Qin. After Lu Shi came to Beijing, he gave it to her. Lu Shi pinched her nose and said, "Go take a bath first. The smell of alcohol on you is too strong." Lu Qin lifted his coat and smelled it. There was no smell of alcohol. My clothes are over there." Lu Shi said angrily, "I bought them for you on the way." When she came back she thought of it. Fortunately, Beijing's business was extremely developed, and there were supermarkets open late at night. Lu Qin scratched his head. He was really a little drunk. Lu Shi impatiently stuffed the paper bag in her hand into his arms and pushed him to the bathroom. "Go wash it." Lu Qin chuckled and grabbed the paper bag to take a shower. After taking a hot shower in the bathroom, he washed away the smell of alcohol and drunkenness. After changing into clean clothes and coming out, Lu Qin felt refreshed and comfortable inside and out. Usually, no matter how busy he was at work, even if he was participating in competitions outside, he would train every day, rain or shine. After persevering for a few months, Lu Qin's physique was obviously much stronger. The outline of his muscles could be seen on his abdomen. Not only was his physical strength more vigorous, but even his alcohol tolerance had increased a bit. "Come and eat." While Lu Qin was taking a shower, his sister prepared supper for him in the kitchen. The supper was a bowl of noodles, a simple tomato with eggs and a few pieces of green onions. The white, red, yellow and green soup was clear and beautiful. Not only did it smell fragrant, but it also made people want to eat it. Lu Qin's stomach full of alcohol had been digested by now. It was the time when his stomach was rumbling. He sat down without hesitation and picked up the chopsticks. In the blink of an eye, he ate the whole bowl of noodles and soup. Patting his belly, he burped with great satisfaction, "I'm full." It was good to have a home, to have family around. Lu Shi watched him finish eating and then said, "Then you go to rest, I will wash the dishes." Lu Qin nodded, "Sister, thank you." Lu Shi did not speak, but there was a little more softness in her eyes. Lu Qin suddenly felt a little embarrassed. His ear was itchy and he could not help but reach out and dig with his little finger. During the competition he wore wireless headphones in this ear. "Your ear is itchy?" Lu Shi said, "I will help you. Go to the sofa." Lu Qin originally wanted to say no trouble, but his sister had already stood up, so he had to swallow his words and follow. Lu Shi took out the tools from her bag. She let Lu Qin lie down first, pressed the latter's head on her lap, and then cleaned Lu Qin's ear under the light. At first, Lu Qin was a little nervous because his sister had not been so gentle to him for a long time. But soon he relaxed. He remembered that when he was a child, his sister also cleaned his ear like this. But when did the brother and sister become estranged? Lu Qin really could not remember clearly. But it was really comfortable to clean his ear. The two of them did not speak, and the small living room was filled with a faint warmth. Lu Shi carefully dug out a ball of earwax and suddenly asked softly, "Did you and Yi Zi break up?" It took a moment for Lu Qin to react, and he said with a bitter smile, "Sister, we did not fall in love." It was true that he and Yi Zitong had a good impression of each other, but this good impression had not turned into true love, and with the passage of time and distance, it became a faint melancholy and memories. There were regrets, but they were not sad because they had not really committed. After experiencing so many things, Lu Qin wondered if he still had the courage to love deeply. He said, "At the end of the competition she sent me a text message, wishing me to win the championship." Lu Shi was silent for a moment and said, "Yi Zi is a good girl, you did the right thing by not hurting her." She was very clear how busy Lu Qin had been recently, and he had no time to fall in love. Or more accurately, Lu Qin did not want to fall in love. The heavy debt of his family was like a huge mountain pressing on him. It was also pressing on Lu Shi. She could understand Lu Chen's difficulties, but she felt a little sorry. Yizi was a good girl. Lu Shi's action of picking his ear became more gentle. Okay. Lu Chen agreed, and the tiredness hidden deep in his body quietly attacked, making his eyelids become heavy. Closing his eyes, Lu Chen fell asleep, and soon there was a soft snore. He was too tired. Lu Shi waited quietly for a moment until Lu Chen fell asleep. Then she took a pillow and replaced her leg as a pillow. She covered Lu Chen with a thin blanket, turned off the light, and went back to her room to rest. Late at night. The living room was plunged into darkness, and the light outside shone through the glass window, faint and weak. In the darkness, Lu Chen turned over on the sofa to make himself sleep more comfortably. He slept soundly and relaxed. In the darkness, there was a familiar voice telling Lu Chen that he and his sister had really reconciled, so he was relieved. Early morning Binhai. Fang Yun got up very early. After a simple wash, she hurriedly ate breakfast and prepared to go out to the supermarket. Today was Saturday, and the Big Baifu supermarket, which was not far from Dongping district, had a discount. Many times the prices of fresh meat and vegetables were much cheaper than those in the market, so housewives often rushed there to stock up. But if they were late, many of the discounted goods would be snatched up, and even if there were any left, it would be of poor quality. Fang Yun was in a good mood today, so she wanted to buy more things and specially prepared 2 big shopping bags. Before going out, she was a little worried. After thinking about it, she opened the door of the small room. The room was still air-conditioned and the temperature was a little low. Lu Shui was lying on the bed, snoring, half of her body exposed outside the blanket, like a sleepy little pig. This child, Fang Yun complained, found the remote control to readjust the temperature, and then pulled the blanket to cover Lu Shui. She stretched out her hand and gave Lu Shui's little but a light slap. The latter snorted twice in dissatisfaction in her sleep, twisted herself and shrank in. Fang Yun couldn't help but laugh, turned around and left the room. She closed the door very carefully. On the stairs below, Fang Yun met a neighbor, Zhang Mailan, the wife of Division Chief Lin of the local tax collection department. The collection management department of the local tax bureau was a key department, and Division Chief Lin was regarded as half a real power in the unit. His wife was a little arrogant and had always been indifferent to Fang Yun. However, today's situation was very different. When Zhang Mailan saw Fang Yun, she immediately smiled and took the initiative to say hello. Sister Yun, you got up so early today. Are you going to Big Baifu to buy groceries? Fang Yun was stunned and replied, Yes, you are also very early. Zhang Mailan said with a smile, I'm used to getting up early every day to exercise, but today I want to go to the supermarket with you. Fang Yun was confused by her, but she couldn't refuse to give face, so she could only agree. On the way to the supermarket, Zhang Mailan said, Sister Yun, I saw your Lu Chen on TV last night. He's getting more and more promising. He actually won the championship. He's going to be a big star. Speaking of last night's final of Singing China, Fang Yun couldn't help smiling. Lu Chen's wonderful performance in this crucial competition not only won the high praise of the 4 judges, but also conquered countless audiences inside and outside the venue. In the end, he defeated all his opponents by a large margin. As Lu Chen's mother, Fang Yun was really proud. After the competition, Lu Chen called her, and then many relatives and friends also called. Of course, in front of outsiders, she still had to remain modest. It's not so easy to be a big star. Lu Chen was just lucky to meet it. It's hard to say what will happen in the future. Zhang Mailan pursed her lips and said with a smile, Don't be modest for him. My circle of friends on QQ has been spread all over. It's said that your Lu Chen is a musical talent and the pride of our Binhai city. He will definitely have a great future. Then she changed the subject and asked, Does your Lu Chen have a girlfriend now? Fang Yun understood a little. It seems that not yet. Zhang Mailan was surprised. Lu Chen is so handsome and talented. How can he not have a girlfriend? Why don't I introduce him to one? My sister's niece is studying at Beijing University. Her character and appearance are excellent. Fang Yun was really speechless. She knew that the other party must have a purpose for being so attentive. She perfunctorily answered Zhang Mailan and soon came to the supermarket. There were more acquaintances in the supermarket. Sister-in-law Lu is here. Oh, Sister Yun, you also came to buy vegetables. What a coincidence. Accountant Fang, I really want to congratulate you. You have given birth to a good son and won glory for our Binhai city. Lu Chen is so amazing. My son admires him very much. Your Lu Chen is really promising. Binhai is a small county-level city, and the local circle is relatively closed. Anything that happens often spreads quickly. Fang Yun lives in Dongping District, where the staff dormitories of the Municipal Finance Bureau, the State Taxation Bureau and the Local Taxation Bureau are located. The news that her son, Lu Qin, participated in the Singing China talent competition has long been spread around. Many colleagues know Lu Qin, so they naturally paid special attention to last night's final. As a result, Lu Qin lived up to expectations and won the championship. So when they saw Fang Yun here, everyone gathered around and sincerely congratulated her. They pushed Zhang Milan to the side. Fang Yun was surrounded by people and was at a loss. Her heart was proud and moved. Chapter 137. On August 28, the Singing China National Finals competition ended. The first season of Beijing Television's first reality show was a great success, with a ratings of 6.87% that night. Although it failed to break the record of 7%, Beijing Television was very satisfied. Not only did it schedule the production of the second season next year, but it also revealed a surprising news on its official blog. That is, the champion of the first season will serve as a judge for the second season, and this has become a convention. And the champion of the first season of Singing China was Lu Qin. The news made Lu Qin's fans on Wave's blog soar, and it also brought him substantial benefits. Lu Qin's studio received inquiries from 2 performance companies and an advertising company, and a brokerage company that had been contacted before came to the door again to buy songs. There was also QQ Music, which asked Lu Qin for an interview. Therefore, not only did Lu Qin not become idle because of the end of Singing China, but he became even busier. But before dealing with these businesses, Lu Qin first had to receive a very important guest. Lin Jijie, a famous musician and the music director of Flying Stone Records. He was also one of the 4 judges of Singing China, and he came on behalf of Flying Stone Records. In the Blue Court Cafe on the top floor of Jinghua Hotel, adjacent to the Blue Sky Entrepreneurial Park, Lu Qin and Lu Shi received the distinguished guest, along with his 2 assistants. Lu Qin, do you really not want to think about it again? Lin Jijie asked seriously. His attitude was very serious. It would be a pity to miss such an opportunity. The music director of Flying Stone Records is in his 40s. He is thin and tall, has a cold appearance and doesn't like to joke or talk much. In the domestic pop music world, Lin Jijie is not famous outside the circle, but almost everyone in the circle knows him. He used to be an excellent singer-songwriter. Later he turned behind the scenes and joined Flying Stone Records. He produced a number of best-selling albums for many stars. He was known for his high ability and rigorous work attitude. Lu Qin got to know Lin Jijie because of Singing China. Lin Jijie appreciated Lu Qin's creative talent very much, so he personally came to invite Lu Qin to join his company. In Lin Jijie's view, Lu Qin's signing with Flying Stone Records was an excellent thing for both parties. However, Lu Qin politely refused. At the same time, Lu Qin turned down the new star cultivation fee, which was worth 4 million. The prize money for the winner of Singing China is as high as 5 million, but it is divided into 1 million cash and 4 million new star training funds. Among them, the 1 million yuan after-tax bonus was provided by Beijing Television. In addition to the reward for winning 6 competition and the first prize of the Beijing singing area, Lu Qin won a total of 1.4 million yuan through the talent competition. And it's all after tax. Beijing Television can be said to have spent a lot of money, but compared with their advertising revenue, it's only a drop in the bucket. The 4 million new star training fund for the champion is even more amazing. The payer is not Beijing Television, but Flying Stone Records. But this is not real money that can be directly obtained. It belongs to a whole set of artist training, packaging and promotion costs, and first of all, an artist contract with Flying Stone Records must be signed. Flying Stone Records is the partner of Beijing Television's Singing China. This clause was indicated in the publicity of the program, so there is no problem of deception. If it's an ordinary newcomer, it doesn't matter at all. To be able to sign with Flying Stone Records is simply a dream. Flying Stone Records is one of the most famous record companies in China. In its most glorious period, it can be called the overlord of the record industry. At that time, the company once had a number of heavenly king and queen level singers. At least 1/3 of the best-selling albums in the 1980s and 1990s were produced by Flying Stone Records. Its logo, a golden stone image with white wings, is familiar to countless people. However, after entering the new century with the rise of a large number of new media, the maturity and widespread of digital music, coupled with the huge impact of online piracy, the golden age of the record industry is gone forever. Starting in 2003, the operation of Flying Stone Records suffered unprecedented difficulties and was once on the verge of bankruptcy. It was not until 2007 when superstar cultural media injected capital into Flying Stone Records, replaced the senior management who were complacent, and followed the trend of the times to expand various businesses. Finally, the famous company was pulled back from the edge of the cliff. Nowadays, Flying Stone Records' power in the industry is far from its heyday, but it is also in the first-class ranks. This cooperation with Beijing Television shows the ambition of Flying Stone Records. It has successfully signed a number of powerful singers including Mu Xiaochu, who has a good relationship with Lu Qin. But Lin Jijie believes that those contracted singers added up are not as good as Lu Qin alone. So he came to make a last-ditch effort. Lu Qin was really moved by Lin Jijie's sincere attitude. It should be known that the other party's status in the circle is not comparable to that of a small newcomer like him. Moreover, neither Beijing Television nor Flying Stone Records set the unspoken rules threshold in the competition of Singing China, which allowed him to win the championship smoothly. Many talent competitions are cooperated with entertainment agencies to train and discover newcomers. Once a good seedling is found, they will sign a contract first. If the contestant does not sign a contract or has signed a contract with another company, then wanting to stand out in the competition is undoubtedly a pipe dream. In the past, Shonen TV was the best at playing this trick, and many excellent contestants were cheated. Later, a large number of revelations were revealed and they restrained themselves. But even though he was moved, Lu Qin's determination to be an independent artist has not wavered. His career is in the beginning stage and it is time to vigorously develop. If he runs to Flying Stone Records and starts over again, even with the so-called 4 million new star cultivation fund as the bottom, it will not be worth it. Director Lin, I've thought about it very clearly, Lu Qin said embarrassedly. I don't want to sign a contract with any record company or agency. I'm sorry. That's really a pity. Lin Jijie was very regretful, just like a master craftsman who saw good material and beautiful quality but couldn't get it. However, the music director of Flying Stone Records was not angry or ashamed. He was not so narrow-minded. On the other hand, Lin Jijie's two assistants were more or less disapproving. Are you kidding me? You don't even want such a good opportunity. What's going on in your head? It was unknown how many newcomers outside wanted to get in, not to mention Lin Jijie's support. If it weren't for Lin Jijie not expressing his position, the two assistants would like to teach Lu Qin how to be a qualified newcomer. Nowadays, the newcomers really don't know the immensity of heaven and earth. I'm really sorry. Lu Qin put his hands together and apologized again. Lin Jijie smiled open-mindedly, waved his hand and said, "It doesn't matter. There will be opportunities for cooperation in the future." Of course, he was just saying a polite word and was ready to leave. But Lu Qin's eyes lit up when he heard this and he immediately said, "Director Lin, I really have a business to cooperate with your company. Can I talk to you a little more?" Lin Jijie was about to get up, but when he heard Lu Qin's words he sat down again. "What business is it? Let's hear it." The two assistants looked at each other and could only sigh that Lin Jijie was really generous and cherished talent. Did Flying Stone Records still lack Lu Qin's business? In the case of being rejected twice before, Lin Jijie not only did not lose face and leave, but also gave him a chance. There was really nothing to say. "Director Lin, it's like this." At this time, it was his sister's turn to tell Lin Jijie about the most important business of Lu Qin's studio at present. After listening carefully, Lin Jijie was very surprised. "Do you want to give Lu Qin's first album to our Flying Stone Records to record and distribute?" "Lu," she said with a smile. "Yes, because Flying Stone Records is the best in China in this regard. It's also our luck that Lu Qin has the honor of knowing Director Lin." Although her sister's character was a little stubborn and cold, she could also say good things and she said them very well. The importance of this album to Lu Qin was self-evident. In the pop music world, if a singer wanted to release a record, Flying Stone Records was undoubtedly the best channel, no other. Whether it was in the industry influence or in terms of human resources, it could be said to be outstanding. Although nowadays the entertainment industry is taking the idle route, releasing a record is only necessary to enhance the appeal, and it can also go through the online sales channel, and does not necessarily need to rely on a professional record company like Flying Stone. But there was still a demand in this area. Many people in the 1980s and 1990s have nostalgic plots. When they encounter an album by a singer they like, they will buy a CD as a souvenir and listen to it in their spare time. Therefore, Flying Stone Records has always been in the business of record production and distribution, but the scale is far less than before. In other words, what Lu Qin's studio wants to cooperate with is just a small business. Lin Jijia was very curious. Why do you want to release a record? Isn't it better to release it online? That way the cost will be much lower, and you don't have to worry about not being able to sell it and losing money. Now 9 out of 10 CDs are sold at a loss. In the past, singers sold records to make money, but now it's a fan economy. They will starve to death by releasing records. Lu Shi said confidently, we are going to release it online and on CD at the same time, mainly in the fan circle. If possible, I would like to visit your company's production department to talk about it in detail face to face. I just need you to help introduce me. Compared with Flying Stone Records, Luchin's studio was pitifully weak. If there was no referral, the other party would not take it seriously, and it was unknown how much trouble it would cause. Luchin had already made an album sales plan and discussed it with Lu Shi many times in advance. Lu Shi still admired her younger brother's idea. The two siblings were so confident that Lin Jijia secretly sighed. However, he was still very happy to help with this small favor, so he asked his assistant to take a business card to Lu Shi. You can take my business card and go directly to Manager Yin Haoyin of our company's marketing department. He will help you. Lu Qin and Lu Shi looked at each other and said in unison, Thank you, Director Lin. Chapter 138. Young people nowadays are really amazing. Looking at the brother and sister in front of him, Lin Jijia felt that he was really a little old. His thinking can't keep up with the pace of young people. Lu Qin, 22, has just graduated from college and is not majoring in music. He officially made his debut through a talent show with good ratings and became a rising star in the pop music world. And he did not take the road to fame that most newcomers have to take. He did not sign with any agency and directly set up his own studio. Now he is going to release his first album. The speed of his rise is astonishing. Lu Shi, Lu Chen's sister, is also his agent and studio manager, and is also dazzlingly young. Although in Lin Jijia's view, both Lu Chen and Lu Shi are immature enough, the spirit of self-confidence and self-improvement that they share deeply touched the old man in the circle. Tan Hong likes to guide newcomers and Lin Jijia is not bad, so he helped them. Nowadays, the domestic pop music world is in great need of energetic and capable up-and-coming stars. Lin Jijia shook his head and said, You don't have to thank me. I'm also helping the company to pull business. The key is still up to you. Whether the CD album can be successfully released or not, the quality is the key. Speaking of this, he suddenly remembered that Lu Chen really has no problem in this regard. From the preliminary competition of Singing China to the final, Lu Chen sang all original works. You Who Sat Next to Me, Fly Higher, The Bright Times of Youth, Love in the Wind, and the currently popular Chasing Dream with a Childlike Heart, on the internet, all of them were written by him. The first song is excellent and even classic. After careful calculation, it is not a problem to put together a complete album. As for the quality of the song, what else is there to say? He gave Lu Chen several 10 points as a judge. Lin Jijia immediately swallowed back the latter words and asked, Where are you going to make this album? The music director of Flying Stone Records found that he was slow enough. Lu Chen's album could have been put in his own company to produce promotion and distribution. With the quality of these songs, Lu Chen's talent, coupled with the strong strength of Flying Stone Records, they may be able to create a small miracle and reproduce some of the glory of the record industry in those days. Lin Jijia has always been worried about the decline of the record industry. The appearance of this opportunity immediately made him excited. How could Lu Chen guess Lin Jijia's thoughts? He replied without hesitation, It's currently being produced at Nirvana Studios. 7 songs have been recorded. It should be completed in a week at most. If it weren't for the delay of Singing China national tour competition, his debut album would have been completed. However, this bit of time was nothing at all. It was equivalent to carrying out publicity in advance. Lin Jijia was instantly disappointed. How could you give your debut album to someone else so carelessly? Nirvana Studios? What the hell was that? I've never heard of it. He suddenly stood up and said, Let's go, take me to that studio. I want to give it a try. He secretly made a decision. If the production level of this Nirvana Studios is not good, then he will not care about face. He must pry Lu Chen's business over and do it again. Didn't he say that it was about making money? Nowadays releasing records is a loss. Lin Jijia doesn't want to see these good songs being ruined, otherwise his conscience will feel uneasy. In the current domestic environment, an excellent original song is hard to come by, let alone an entire album. Lu Chen and Lu Shi looked at each other, not understanding why Lin Jijia was so excited. But the music director of Flying Stone Records must be given face. Lu Chen hurriedly said, Okay, then I'll take you there now. Nirvana Studios is also in the park. It's very close. Lin Jijia waved his hand. Let's go. He can't wait to listen to Lu Chen's album, even if it's still a semi-finished product. Lu Shi paid the bill, and then the group left the Blue Court Cafe and rushed to Nirvana Studios. On the way, Lu Chen called Wang Jing to inform her to get ready. When they arrived at Nirvana Studios, all the members came out to greet them. Wang Jing, Wang Hui and Wang Changxing, plus the other 3 members of the Nirvana band, looked very grand. Seeing Lu Chen and others coming over, Wang Jing stepped forward and saluted Lin Jijia and said, "Hello, Teacher Lin." Lin Jijia was shocked by her and said in a daze, "Well, you are?" He has been in the industry for more than 20 years and has taught many apprentices, but there is no one in front of him. Wang Jing explained, 3 years ago you once gave a public lecture in Jingyin. I listened to it twice and benefited a lot. Oh. Lin Jijia suddenly realized, so that's how it is. I was wondering when I had such a beautiful female student. Wang Jing couldn't help laughing. She is a very refreshing girl with short hair and no makeup and a little cold and arrogant. But she is also very beautiful with no obvious flaws in her eyes, nose and mouth. If she dresses up carefully, puts on a skirt and goes out for a walk, it is unknown how many men's hearts she can seduce. Lu Chen has been to Nirvana Studios many times, but he really hasn't seen Wang Jing smile more than a few times. And when she smiles, the surrounding space seems to become bright. Wang Changxing said respectfully, "Director Lin, it's our honor to have you come to our studio." Lin Jijia is very famous in the circle, and has just served as a judge of Singing China. Of course, Wang Changxing knows him and he is very happy in his heart. This industry big shot visited Nirvana Studios. In the future he will have light on his face. Lin Jijia is used to seeing all kinds of scenes and he responded very appropriately, "You're too polite. Let's talk inside." He came to listen to songs, not to socialize. In fact, at this time, Lin Jijia has already complained big about Lu Chen in his heart. This studio looks like a small workshop at first glance. Whether it's the reception room at the front desk or the office inside, they are cramped and unseemly. What good work can be made with such poor conditions? It wasn't until he came to the recording studio that his impression changed. In Lin Jijia's professional eyes, this small recording studio is very professionally arranged, and the equipment investment is not too bad. Nirvana Studios should have used most of their funds on this, so it's so bad outside. This kind of business attitude is still worthy of recognition. However, Lin Jijia still has doubts about the quality of the album. After all, except for Wang Changxing, the other members of Nirvana Studios are young people of about the same age. Because there is no special listening room in the studio, Lin Jijia directly asked for the monitoring headphones to listen to the high-quality sound source that has been recorded. The specific operation was completed by Wang Hui. Lin Jijia spent more than half an hour listening to the story. Due to his special identity, everyone was waiting in the recording studio. Lu Chen and Lu Shi were fine. Wang Changxing, Wang Hui and Wang Jing all looked nervous and a little expectant. Lin Jijia is a real expert. There is no doubt about his professionalism. He came to Nirvana Studios to listen to Lu Chen's debut album. The level of its evaluation will undoubtedly affect the studio's reputation in the industry. If Lin Jijia said no, then even if Nirvana Studios does not immediately close down, it will be very difficult in the future. Because of the bad reputation, not many customers are willing to send business. But if he could give a few words of praise, then the situation would be completely reversed. In this anxious waiting, Lin Jijia finally finished listening to all the 7 works that have been recorded. He took off the monitoring headphones and looked a little complicated. As far as the current works are concerned, Lin Jijia is not very satisfied. He heard a lot of problems. For example, the arrangement is not perfect enough, the instrumental music accompaniment lacks enough layering and detailed performance, the post-processing technique is slightly immature, and does not fully express the mood and emotion of the song, but it is undeniable that Nirvana Studios is very serious and attentive in making this album. As far as the conditions and equipment here are concerned, it is already very good to rely on the strength of a few young people to achieve this level. You really can't ask for too much. Therefore, Lin Jijia inevitably feels conflicted. On the one hand, he hopes that Lu Chen's debut album is perfect. On the other hand, he does not want or can't bear to discourage these diligent young people. Attitude determines everything. The most important thing is that this is Lu Chen's own choice. Lin Jijia thought for a moment and said, "There are some problems, but overall it's okay." He pointed out the flaws in the system. If it were someone else, they might not be so serious. They would say something nice and have nothing to do with themselves. But Lin Jijie is not like this. He doesn't like that kind of hypocritical communication. Say what you want to say and be blunt. For Wang Jing, Wang Hui, and others, this is undoubtedly an excellent learning opportunity for them. Usually, even if the studio spends money to hire someone, they can't invite a person of Lin Jijie's level to come and personally guide them. Therefore, everyone listens very carefully. The more critical the words are, the more they keep them in mind. Only when they know the shortcomings can they be corrected. Lin Jijie was so excited that he forgot his own principles and analyzed several songs comprehensively. She doesn't understand. The more she listens, the more uncertain she becomes. She can't help but look at Lu Qin. There are so many problems in the new album. Can it still work? Lu Qin gave her an affirmative look. No matter which company produced an album, it was impossible for it to be truly perfect. Nirvana Studios is really not strong enough, but Wang Jing and Wang Hui's work attitude makes him speechless. Even if there are certain flaws, it will not have much impact on the overall quality. The production cost of 100,000 yuan is already worth it. Chapter 139. Tell me exactly what you think. Lin Jijie asked Lu Qin, what do you think about the release of this album? After listening to the 7 songs in Lu Qin's debut album in the studio, he gave a lot of advice to Wang Jing and Wang Hui. In the end, he still wanted to say more. He pulled Lu Qin to the reception room and asked questions about the release. Originally, Lin Jijie asked Lu Qin to meet to persuade him to join Flying Stone Records, but he didn't achieve his goal. Out of the idea of helping the newcomer, he didn't mind helping Lu Qin with a small favor. It was completely a spur-of-the-moment idea. Lin Jijie suddenly became interested in the album Lu Qin was making, so he came to this small studio to listen to it. As a result, he listened to it as soon as he listened. As the music director of Flying Stone Records, Lin Jijie is also a veteran in the industry. He keenly discovered that Lu Qin's album, in addition to the quality of the work itself, has a very unified and distinct style, which focuses on nostalgia. Completely different from the most popular fast songs, Lu Qin's target group of fans is obviously not those teenage boys and girls, but pop music lovers born in the 1970s, 1980s and early 1990s. This is a huge group. Domestic pop music once had countless brilliance in the 1980s and 1990s. After stepping into the new century, it was influenced by the pop trend in Europe, the United States, Japan and South Korea, and eventually formed the current pattern. What's popular nowadays? It's new idols, little fresh meat, fast songs and dances, rap songs. The new generation of young people pursue fashion and worship stars. They are full of rebellious spirit and don't like the traditional ones of the past. The parents of these boys and girls are the backbone of society, and most of them have good economic conditions. Therefore, they are very willing to spend money to chase stars and like to buy peripheral products of stars and idols. They don't care about spending hundreds or thousands of dollars to watch a concert. Therefore, domestic entertainment media companies desperately cater to their tastes, introduce the things of Europe, the United States, Japan and South Korea, and localize them, relying on the fan economy to make a lot of money. The competition between entertainment companies is fierce to the extreme. Artists are trained in large numbers like assembly line products, doing their best to consume the huge market brought by young fans. But what about those in the 70s and 80s? They might passively accept new music or they might fall in love with new idols, but there were still many who missed and persisted in liking the classics of the past. The most typical example was Tan Hong. He was almost in a state of retirement. Last year, when he held a concert at Beijing's National Stadium, tens of thousands of tickets were sold out within 3 days. Why? This was because Tan Hong still had millions of fans who loved him. They might not be young anymore, but they were still powerful. It was just that they were not as willing to spend money on their idols as young people. In Lu Qin's album, the 7 songs that have been completed are all folk songs with a strong nostalgic flavor. The talent and intention that he has shown in them have moved Lin Jijie. Therefore, Lin Jijie wanted to help Lu Qin more in terms of sales and distribution so that the album would not be covered in dust. It deserved the honor it deserved. Lu Qin and Lu Shi looked at each other, and the latter motioned for him to answer Lin Jijie's question himself. Lu Qin thought for a moment and said, "Teacher Lin, it's like this." Lu Qin's idea was to record his debut album through Flying Stone Records, including CD and USB flash drive, and at the same time, divide it into 3 versions: Ordinary Edition, Collector's Edition and Deluxe Edition, and determine the quantity by fans ordering. That was to say, however many fans ordered, they would record it here to minimize the risk. In addition to processing, Flying Stone Records would also distribute the album through their channels. This channel was Xinhua Bookstore, which has branches all over the country. Xinhua Bookstore was a large-scale state-owned book distribution enterprise, which has been established for 70 years. It belonged to the National Propaganda Department and China Publishing Group, with up to 15,000 sales outlets headquartered in Beijing. In the past, when everyone bought books, basically everyone went to Xinhua Bookstore to buy them, especially teaching materials and books. The state also distributed them through Xinhua Bookstore, so the annual sales volume was extremely amazing. But in the new century, the state fully liberalized the restrictions on publishing. Coupled with the rise of online shopping, Xinhua Bookstore's hegemonic position has been greatly impacted, and its profit margin has declined year after year. Many branches in remote places rely on renting out storefronts to maintain their business, and selling books doesn't make much money. The predicament faced by Xinhua Bookstore has a lot in common with Flying Stone Records. In recent years, the senior management of the bookstore has also been seeking innovation and change, expanding various operations, and making full use of their advantages. For example, in the past, Xinhua Bookstore sold tapes and CDs, but now these things have been eliminated and declined, and there is no benefit to speak of. The bookstore has in-depth cooperation with entertainment agencies to sell various peripheral products of star idols, and even concert tickets. Due to the influence of Xinhua Bookstore and the fact that they are all genuine, entertainment agencies are also happy to use this channel to expand fan groups, so they have formed a very mature operating process early. Flying Stone Records was one of the partners of Xinhua Bookstore. Lin Jijie understood, you want to pre-sell it online first and then put it in Xinhua Bookstore to sell it, right? This sales method has been around for a long time. Fans order the peripheral products of stars on the official website, get the corresponding authentication code, and then take their mobile phone to the local Xinhua Bookstore sales outlet to scan it, and then they can get the things. For entertainment agencies, this sales method is big, relieving their pressure. They only need to hand over all the produced products to Xinhua Bookstore, and with the help of the latter's strong logistics system and huge sales network, they can ship the goods. Coupled with direct sales on the website, a perfect sales system has been formed, and the cost has been reduced to a reasonable level. Lu Qin said with a smile, yes. He actually has a different sales plan from others, which is inspiration from the dream world. It's just that it's not convenient to tell Lin Jijie for the time being. Lin Jijie nodded in approval. Lu Qin obviously did a lot of homework in advance, and has a basic understanding of this release process. The choice of Flying Stone Records for cooperation was certainly not a temporary idea. It was obviously carefully considered. But this does not mean that Lin Jijie is very optimistic about the sales prospects of this album. After all, Lu Qin is still a newcomer who has just made his debut. Although he has accumulated a lot of popularity by winning the championship in Singing China, it is not a simple matter to turn popularity into real benefits. Lu Qin's biggest problem is that he doesn't have a complete and experienced team to support him behind the scenes, lacks interpersonal resources, and is doomed to not go far by relying on the impulsive spending of a few fans. Lin Jijie really didn't want to pour cold water on Lu Qin. Moreover, it's not purely a bad thing for young people to suffer some setbacks. So he didn't say anything more. Then hurry up and finish this album. I should be able to help with Flying Stone Records. Lu Qin was grateful. Thank you, Teacher Lin. With the help of the music director of Flying Stone Records, it will be much easier for him to release the album there. Lin Jijie said solemnly, remember to pay attention to quality. You can't be sloppy in the details and, he asked, did you ask Wang Jing to do your arrangement? Lu Qin replied, yes. Lin Jijie pondered for a moment and reminded, you have to strengthen this aspect. With your talent, only by participating in the arrangement yourself can you fully express the essence of the work to the greatest extent. Truly excellent singer-songwriters can often write songs and arrange music. Of course, it doesn't mean that composing music must be very good at arranging music, but having both will undoubtedly greatly improve the work. After all, others may not be able to fully understand the intentions of the creator, and there are obstacles in communication. Lu Qin is not a professional, and it's normal for him to be weak in arranging music. Lin Jijie hopes that he can make up for this shortcoming. Lu Qin said with surprise, I've thought about it. I want to attend lectures at Beijing Conservatory of Music or Beiying, but I heard that it's very difficult to get a permit. Lu Qin has long had this idea, but he asked Wang Jing and knew that it was very difficult to get a permit whether it was Beijing Conservatory of Music or Beiying. The college is very strict and only a few permits are issued a year. As for other private institutions that can be casually entered with money, it's better to save it. Lin Jijie said with a smile, it's good to have a spirit of learning. I know 2 professors at Beijing Conservatory of Music. Maybe they can help you get a permit, but it's not 100% guaranteed. Even if it's not guaranteed, it's already a surprise. Lu Qin said quickly, "Thank you, Teacher Lin. You've thanked me many times today." Lin Jijia waved his hand and said, "Since you call me teacher, it's also our fate. I'm willing to help if I can. The key is still your own efforts. As long as it doesn't affect the interests of himself and the company, Lin Jijia is very willing to help the promising young man in front of him. What he sees in Lu Qin is a quality that is different from others. Why not do a small favor and make a good karma?" Lu Qin nodded vigorously. He knew that this favor was really owed, and he would have to return it when he had the chance in the future. Lu Qin is undoubtedly lucky. On this starry road to success, he has certainly met Zhao Depeng, Jin Hongwei, Zhuang Hao and Qin Jinhao, but also met Qin Jinhao, Tan Hong and Lin Jijia such as guides. Lu Qin and Lu Shi together saw off Lin Jijia and his party. Back in her studio, Lu Shi turned out her notepad and said to him, "At 2 o'clock this afternoon, you have to go to EMI Culture Brokerage Company. I've already talked to Wen Ziyuan, the director of the brokerage department over there. He will arrange for artists to meet you for an interview." Lu Qin said without hesitation, "Okay. He wants to make money, a lot of money?" Chapter 140. Beijing 4th Ring Road, Dalong Building. Dalong Building is very famous in this high-rise financial and business district, because it gathers a number of first-class entertainment media and music production companies in Beijing, such as Tianzhai Music Workshop, Golden Disc Culture, Sunshine Records and so on. Therefore, people who work in this building can often see star idols coming in and out. In any corner outside the building, there may be entertainment reporters, commonly known as paparazzi, squatting there. EMI Cultural Brokerage Company is also in Dalong Building, but the strength and scale of this medium-sized brokerage company is incomparable with that of Golden Disc Culture. Its office is located on the 7th floor, which is a poor location. There is a saying in the entertainment industry that if multiple companies are in the same building, the stronger and more famous they tend to live higher. Otherwise, they would rather find another place than be willing to live under others. This may not be very reliable, but at least in Dalong Building, the situation is really similar. Nevertheless, those who can occupy a place in Dalong Building are not ordinary small companies. EMI Cultural Brokerage Company has dozens of artists and hundreds of trainees. Among the artists who have already made their debut, there are many second and third-tier star idols, and their strength is not bad. It is said that there are as many as 2,000 entertainment brokerage companies in Beijing, but only 1/10 of them are really qualified. It's past 1 o'clock in the afternoon, when the weather is the hottest. Although the central air conditioning in Dalong Building is running well and the air conditioning is sufficient, Wen Ziyuan, who is sitting in the office, still feels bored. He drank 2 bottles of iced mineral water in a row, and there is still an inexplicable evil fire in his body, which makes his forehead constantly ooze fine sweat. This 40-year-old middle-aged fat man is the director of the brokerage department of EMI Cultural Brokerage Company. The brokerage department is the most important department of a brokerage company, and the director's position is in the middle and senior management of the company. However, Wen Ziyuan has never had the pleasure of holding power. Because the brokerage department has a large power and a high budget, there are many mother-in-law who reach out to manage it. There are the general manager, director, deputy general manager, deputy director and department manager and deputy manager. There are 3 directors who are at the same level as him. Apart from one of the trainee supervisors, the other 2 are not easy to deal with. On the one hand, Wen Ziyuan has to manage his artists and agents well. On the other hand, he has to guard against the open and covert attacks of competitors in the same department. His days are not going well. Especially in the recent period, several of Wen Ziyuan's contracted artists were very restless. One of them made a scandal and was exposed by the media. He desperately wiped his ass and was laughed at by the public relations department. Wen Ziyuan really wanted to quit, but when he thought of the mortgage that would take him 15 years to pay off, he could only endure it. Pok, pok. Suddenly, someone knocked on the door. Wen Ziyuan couldn't help but straighten his back. He grabbed the tissue on the table and wiped the sweat off his face. He quickly threw away the wet towel and said in a deep voice, "Please come in." In front of his subordinates, Wen Ziyuan still paid great attention to his image. Otherwise, it would be difficult for them to revere him. The door was forcefully pushed open and 2 women walked in. Seeing the middle-aged woman walking in front of him, Wen Ziyuan felt that his already big head had grown even bigger. His brain was hurting. The middle-aged woman was dressed very well. Her long skirt, high-heeled shoes, leather bag and jewelry were all famous brands. However, her appearance was really unworthy of these expensive goods. She was not only ordinary but also slightly fierce. But she obviously didn't have the consciousness of hiding her incompetence. Her nostrils were up and she was arrogant, as if she was the owner here. The woman behind the middle-aged woman was undoubtedly much younger and more beautiful. She had phoenix eyes and willow leaf eyebrows. Her makeup was exquisite, and her expression was arrogant, which was somewhat similar to the former. Walking in front of Wen Ziyuan, the young woman smiled and said, "Director Wen?" Wen Ziyuan sighed in his heart and barely squeezed out a smile on his face. "Shu Hui, you are here." Zhang Shu Hui, a contracted artist of EMI Cultural Agency, just made her debut 2 months ago. The middle-aged woman who came with Zhang Shu Hui was Zhang Shu Hui's agent, Zhang Qiong, and also her aunt. This is not an ordinary person. She has a shrewd personality, and has a relationship with the upper management of the company. Although Zhang Qiong is Wen Ziyuan's subordinate in name, in fact, Wen Ziyuan can't command her at all. These two are the so-called arrogant soldiers and valiant generals. There was no need to guess. Wen Ziyuan also knew that the other party came with bad intentions. He was extremely tired in his heart, but he still had to smile. "Sit down, sit down." Zhang Qiong was not polite at all. She pulled Zhang Shu Hui to sit down on the sofa, and then asked straightforwardly, "Director Wen, I heard that you applied for a sum of money to buy songs for Shu Hui, right?" Wen Ziyuan nodded and said, "Yes, it's 2 billion yuan in total. I have." According to the company's procedures, contracted artists like Zhang Shu Hui need to apply for important expenses related to training, packaging, publicity and promotion, and they can only be allocated after approval. This is also one of the greatest powers that Wen Ziyuan has as the director of the brokerage department. He applied for this fund for Zhang Shu Hui in order to make this ant calm down and let himself live a long life. "I know." Zhang Qiong interrupted Wen Ziyuan's words directly and asked, "I heard that you are going to invite songs from a newcomer, and that a song is 250,000 yuan. Is that right?" Wen Ziyuan suppressed his inner dissatisfaction and patiently explained, "It's like this. This newcomer is very unusual. He is the champion of singing China. His songs have been at the top of the original music chart for 4 weeks in a row. He is a very talented singer-songwriter. I think, Director Wen." Zhang Qiong interrupted again, "I don't think any newcomer's work can be worth 250,000 yuan. Even if his work is on the original music chart, so what? His creative style is completely incompatible with my family's Shu Hui. How can he write well? Shu Hui and I both contributed to the application for this fund, so I don't agree with you to buy songs from that newcomer named Lu Qin. The risk is too great. I think Xiu will be a better choice." Her lips curled up with a faint sneer. 250,000 yuan is enough to buy 3 songs. When Ziyuan was stimulated by her, "Did you eat a kickback look?" and the blue veins on his temples bulged. He almost went berserk on the spot. Heaven pity him. He bought songs from Lu Qin for Zhang Shuhui's sake. Zhang Shuhui has been a new generation singer for some time. Although the company has spent a lot of effort to package and hype, it has never been promoted, because there are many newcomers of the same quality in the entertainment industry. In terms of appearance, Zhang Shuhui is not the most beautiful. In terms of singing skills, she is just an ordinary qualified level. In terms of talent, cough. Not to mention talent, she has no distinctive characteristics and advantages. If she wants to become popular, she must find another way. Buying an excellent work suitable for Zhang Shuhui was when Ziyuan came up with the idea. In the pop music world, there has always been a saying that people become famous because of songs. If an ordinary singer sings a good song right, he may become popular. Even if packaging and hype are now paid attention to, the factor of the work is still important. Many people desperately cover, imitate and even plagiarize works of Europe, the United States, Japan and South Korea. What's the purpose of that? As a newly rising singer-songwriter in the pop music world, Wen Ziyuan has been eyeing Lu Qin for a long time. After learning that the latter has opened a studio, he specially sent someone to contact him. It wasn't until the end of Singing China that Wen Ziyuan finally made up his mind to buy songs from Lu Qin at a high price. Because he believes that Lu Qin has enough creative strength. He never thought that his painstaking efforts would be questioned by Zhang Qiong. The Xiyu mentioned by the other party is a songwriter who has become famous very early. He is good at love songs and saliva songs, and has always had business contacts with EMI Culture Brokerage Company. 250,000 yuan is indeed enough to invite 3 songs from Xiyu, but Wen Ziyuan believes that the talent of this person is almost exhausted. If compared, Lu Qin is like the rising sun, full of vitality in creation. Xiyu, that is the setting sun that is about to set. As for the problem of style, it's really not a big problem. When Ziyuan wanted to explain patiently, but Zhang Qiong's eyes made him disheartened. His straight waist bent down again and he said dejectedly, "What you said makes sense. Well, let's do it according to what you mean and invite songs from Shiyu." Seeing Wen Ziyuan's dejected look, Zhang Shuhui, who had never spoken, couldn't bear it. She turned to Zhang Qiong and said, "Aunt." Zhang Qiong squeezed her hand and said, "It's right to listen to me. Since Director Wen agreed, there's no problem." She got up and said, "Sorry to bother you. We'll go first." Wen Ziyuan waved his hand weakly and didn't bother to look at the other party's proud face. He knew that Zhang Qiong's real intention was to fight for power. After Zhang Qiong and Zhang Shuhui left, it took Wen Ziyuan a long time to catch his breath and laugh. What the F***ck was going on? Ring ring. At this time the phone on the table rang. Wen Ziyuan reached out and picked it up. The sweet voice of the front desk lady came from the phone. "Director Wen, Mr. Lu Qin is here to see you." When Ziyuan suddenly remembered that he had an appointment with Lu Qin's studio in the afternoon. The other party came to test the sound. This was really troublesome. When Ziyuan couldn't wait to slap himself in the face. Of course he could let Lu Qin leave directly, but in this way he would completely offend him. If it was spread out he would lose face. It was definitely not a wise choice. But how could Wen Ziyuan tell Lu Qin that his artists were disobedient and didn't want to buy his songs? He would still offend people. "Hello. Director Wen, are you there?" Wen Ziyuan came to his senses and said quickly, "Yes, please ask Mr. Lu to sit down in the reception room first. Be sure to entertain him warmly. I'll come over as soon as I finish my work." The front desk lady promised, "Okay." Putting down the phone, Wen Ziyuan was already sweating and almost burst into tears. The door of the office was knocked again. Chapter 141. It's not over yet. Wen Ziyuan almost smashed the mineral water bottle in his hand at the door. "Will you let me be alone?" He took a deep breath and said in a deep voice, "Please come in." Since sitting in this position, Wen Ziyuan has felt that he has become a teenage mutant ninja turtle. There are a group of mother-in-law and uncles pointing fingers at him, and a group of arrogant soldiers and generals doing their own thing. He is caught in the middle of being bullied on both sides. To be able to live until now without his blood vessels bursting, he must have burned 30,000 pounds of incense in his previous life. The door was gently pushed open, and a skinny middle-aged man came in with a girl with a ponytail. "Hello, Director Wen." The middle-aged man came in and bowed to greet him, with a flattering smile on his dark face that was wrinkled like an orange peel. The girl who followed him bowed at the same time. "Director Wen, sorry to disturb you." Seeing that it was these two instead of the original two masters, Wen Ziyuan immediately breathed a big sigh of relief. He stretched out his hand and pressed it twice, then said with a smile, "You're welcome. Take a seat. There's water in the fridge." The middle-aged man hurriedly said, "Thank you." He quickly walked over, opened the refrigerator in the corner and took out 2 bottles of iced mineral water. One bottle was sent to Wen Ziyuan's table first, and the other was handed to the ponytail girl who had just sat down. Everyone knows that Wen Ziyuan likes to drink iced mineral water, and the bottle in his hand has been emptied. The other party's respect made Wen Ziyuan show a sincere smile. The middle-aged man's name is Li Zhigao, an agent under him. Among the many agents of EMI brokerage company, Li Zhigao belongs to the bottom. He hasn't been in the industry for a long time, and he doesn't have any connections in the circle, so he can only lead very ordinary newcomers. The ponytail girl he brought with him is called Tang Xiao. She is 19 years old, 165 meters tall, with an oval face and big eyes. Her appearance is not bad. She was one of the top 10 contestants in a talent show last year. After EMI brokerage company signed her, she was trained for just over half a year before she was launched. So far, she is still a small artist who brushes small notices. Few people know her name when she walks on the street. In recent years, there have been too many artists who have come out through the talent show. Except for a few lucky people, most of them are similar to Tang Xiao, and many have even quit the entertainment industry and returned to their original life. The competition in this industry was too fierce. Tang Xiao is an insignificant role among the company's artists, so she was thrown to Li Zhigao. Wen Ziyuan still had a good impression of Li Zhigao. Although Li Zhigao's ability was not very good, he respected him very much and was willing to do hard work without complaint. If his subordinates were all like Li Zhigao, then his position would be very comfortable. It was because of this reason that Wen Ziyuan was willing to take care of her under appropriate circumstances. He asked pleasantly, "Old Li, why did you bring Xiao here?" Li Zhiga half sat on the sofa, straightened his back and asked cautiously, "Director Wen, I heard that you were going to invite Lu Qin, the champion of singing China, to sing a song, is that right? When Ziyuan was stunned. Not many people knew about this. Where did Li Zhigao hear it? However, when he saw the expression on the other party's face, he understood. That must be because Zhang Qiong, that stinky woman, had just gone out and talked nonsense outside, deliberately slapping his face. As a result, even Li Zhigao knew about it. When Ziyuan was inwardly infuriated, but it was not good to attack Li Zhigao. He sighed and said, "Yes, now Lu Chen's people are here in the reception room outside." As a result, Zhang Qiong insisted on changing people, so I don't know how to explain it to him. Li Zhigao's mouth was still very reliable, and it was nothing to complain about. Unexpectedly, Li Zhigao showed a look of surprise. "Is everyone here? Director Wen Qiao, can you?" He stuttered incoherently. When Ziyuan understood and shook his head again and said, "Old Li, it's not that I don't want to help you. Lu Chen's asking price for a song is 250,000 yuan. I can help Zhang Shuhui apply for this money. I really can't do anything about Qiao. Any agency company, including EMI Culture, has an internal rank sequence for its contracted artists. The higher the rank, the more resources they get. This is a clear rule. In EMI agency they are also artists under Wen Ziyuan. If Zhang Shuhui's ranking is B, then Tang Qiao is D. The difference between the two is really big. Therefore, Wen Ziyuan can apply for 250,000 yuan to buy songs for Zhang Shuhui, while Tang Qiao can only get 50,000 yuan at most. Wen Ziyuan really wanted to help but couldn't. The main reason was that Lu Chen's asking price was really too high. No newcomer dared to offer such a high price. Zhang Qiong's objection was not entirely unreasonable. Wen Ziyuan's heart was bitter. At this time, Tang Qiao, who was sitting on the sofa, bit her lip and suddenly said, "Uncle Wen, if I am willing to pay half of the money myself, is that okay?" Wen Ziyuan was shocked. You'll pay for it yourself? It's normal for singers to pay for their own songs, but Tang Qiao is a new artist who has just made her debut. Wen Ziyuan knows that her family is very ordinary. The money she earns through the company is just enough to eat in Beijing. It's difficult for her to eat well. Now, she actually wants to take out more than 100,000 yuan to buy songs, which really shocked Wen Ziyuan. This is burning the boat. If the contracted artists of an agency company want to buy songs, they can't be willful and casual. According to the rules, they must be arranged through the company, because it also involves the issues of production, publicity and promotion. In fact, many entertainment agencies don't like artists to make their own decisions. Tang Qiao asked Wen Ziyuan to take the initiative to buy songs from Lu Qin, which undoubtedly took a lot of courage. The timing was also just right. But, Wen Ziyuan still shook his head. Half is not enough. It's not that he is hard-hearted, but that the company has its own rules. He is a small department head and has no ability to let the higher-ups break the rules and raise Tang Qiao's rank. Li Ziga said, "Director Wen Qiao will pay 100,000 yuan herself, I will pay 50,000 yuan, and you can help her apply for another 100,000 yuan. He looked at Wen Ziyuan and said with a very sincere attitude, "Qiao, this child is not easy, please help her." Had Old Li gone mad? Wen Ziyuan was simply stunned and couldn't believe it. 50,000 yuan, I'm afraid, is all this person's savings. How can there be an agent like this? But at the same time, the brokerage director was also very moved. In the entertainment industry, not many agents can do this for their contracted artists. Most people try to squeeze out the value of the latter and finally spit it out like bagasse. Therefore, many star idols choose their relatives and friends as agents, even if the other party doesn't know anything at all. Snap. When Ziyuan slammed the table, got up and said, "That's fine. Since Qiao calls me uncle, I, as your uncle, will sell this old face to help you once and apply for 100,000 yuan to buy songs for you." Li Ziga and Tang Qiao were both overjoyed. "Thank you, Director Wen/Uncle Wen." The two didn't have much hope at first, they just wanted to try to fight for a chance for themselves. Unexpectedly, it really moved Wen Ziyuan. Wen Ziyuan smiled, waved his hand and said, "You don't need to thank me. If you want to thank me, then work hard. Let's go to see Teacher Lu Qin now. Remember to be polite and don't neglect him." It was also Tang Qiao's good luck. If Zhang Qiong hadn't fallen out with him, this opportunity would not have fallen to Tang Qiao at all. And if Zhang Qiong hadn't forced him so much that he couldn't bear it, he wouldn't have wanted to fight for it once. If he doesn't fight back, then he will only be stepped on by Zhang Qiong more. When Ziyuan was actually betting that Lu Chen's strength was as strong as he expected. A singer-songwriter who wrote In the Spring, You Who Sat Next to Me, and The Brightest Star in the Night Sky, should have no problem writing a song suitable for girls, right? When Ziyuan, who took Li Zhigao and Tang Qiaoqiao to the reception room, was not fully sure in his heart. EMI Cultural Brokerage Company, reception room. Lu Qin and Li Feiyu have been sitting and waiting for 10 minutes. To be honest, Lu Qin was a little unhappy in his heart. He took the initiative to come to the door to test the sound, but he sat on the sofa and waited. But the receptionist was very beautiful and polite, and the coffee she provided was also very fragrant, so he could bear it. Li Feiyu was fascinated by the big-chested and white-skinned receptionist, and kept peeping at her while drinking coffee. Lu Qin suspected that he was a receptionist. There was still Sister Xiaomei over at the studio. This must be Teacher Lu Qin, right? Just when Lu Qin began to get a little impatient, 3 people appeared at the door of the reception room. Among them, the one who walked in the front was a middle-aged fat man with a big waist, who smiled like Maitreya Buddha. I'm really sorry to have kept you waiting." He came over and held out his hands to Lu Qin. "I'm Wen Ziyuan, director of the EMI brokerage department. Nice to meet you." Don't hit a smiling face. Wen Ziyuan's sincere attitude made the unhappiness in Lu Qin's heart disappear. He stood up and shook hands with the other party and said with a smile, "Hello, Director Wen. We haven't been waiting for long. Your company's coffee is very good." Wen Ziyuan let go of his hand and said with a smile, "Our boss brought this coffee from Brazil. It's not available in China. Teacher Lu Qin, if you like it, I'll ask Xiao Wang to pack some for you to try." Lu Qin couldn't help laughing. "Director Wen, you're too polite. Just call me Lu Qin." When Ziyuan said, "You are one of the judges of next season's Singing China. You are worthy of the title of teacher." The first season of Beijing Television's Singing China was very successful, and the ratings were better than Shonen TV's Super Singer, and the production task for the second season next year has been booked. At that time, more singers are bound to participate. In Wen Ziyuan's application for inviting Lu Qin to sing, Lu Qin's identity as a judge of the next season of Singing China was also written. Lu Qin said modestly, "I'm just a judge of the audition in the singing area." Singing China has a total of 7 singing areas. In addition to the Beijing singing area, the other singing areas have different audition judges. Lu Qin serves as one of them, not one of the 4 judges who decide the winner. Tian, Beijing Television has already informed Lu Qin of this, which is nothing more than a publicity stunt. Chapter 142. Zhang Ailing said that you should become famous as early as possible. Wen Ziyuan has been in the circle for more than 10 years and has seen many young artists who became famous, but he has never seen a young man with a temperament as calm and modest as Lu Qin, neither arrogant nor impetuous, neither servile nor overbearing. Many newcomers will be very modest in the face of praise and glory, but their hearts are still proud and complacent, and their emotions will be revealed in their eyes and subtle movements. As long as it is someone with eyesight and experience like Wen Ziyuan, they can see it. However, Lu Qin is not like this. His modesty comes from the heart, and is definitely not a deliberate disguise. He gives Wen Ziyuan the feeling that he is like an unfathomable pool with no bottom at all. In fact, Wen Ziyuan didn't know that Lu Qin was not like this at all just a few months ago. Lu Qin has experienced 3 different lives in his long dream, and has integrated the memories of 3 people in the dream world. Overnight, he has washed away his former immaturity and childishness, which naturally makes him different. And the precious wealth from the dream world has made Lu Qin have super confidence. But he also deeply understands that this is the source of everything he has at present, so he will not look down on others. All kinds of wonderful combinations have made Lu Qin have a different kind of charm. Young people nowadays are really amazing. When Ziyuan secretly admired, and became more and more determined to invite Lu Qin to sing a song. Tang Qiaoqiao is a good child and her opportunity has come. After the pleasantries, when Ziyuan introduced Li Zhigao and Tang Qiaoqiao to Lu Qin. Lu Qin didn't know that before he came, there was a small game in the brokerage department of EMI, which led to the change of the auditioning object, but this did not affect his sincerity for this cooperation. Since the popularity of In the Spring, several entertainment agencies have come to the studio to invite Lu Qin to sing songs, but they were all scared away by his offer. Now that Lu Qin has won the championship of Singing China, and has launched a number of excellent original works, which has shown his talent and strength, the original offer is not so unacceptable. Tian, Singing China is a Singing China. Lu Qin asked Lu Shi to raise the price. Every work in his memory was a masterpiece or even a classic. He would rather have it rot in his hands than sell it cheaply. Apart from Light Rain Media, which has already tasted the sweetness, EMI Brokerage Company is the first to really have sincerity to cooperate with Lu Qin in this respect, so he will take the initiative to come to listen. Some songwriters would sell whatever they wrote as long as they paid for it. It didn't matter who they sang it for. There were also some authors who would tailor their work according to the singer's voice, appearance, or even personality, and the latter's status in the industry was often higher than the former. Lu Chen wanted to do the latter. There were too many works in his memory, and he could always find one that met his requirements. When Ziyuan really didn't know. If he knew, he would probably be dumbfounded. The director of the brokerage department of EMI took everyone to the listening room. EMI Culture Brokerage Company is medium-sized in scale with a lot of signed artists, but there is no independent recording studio, and the production is outsourced to other companies. DeLong Building has a first-class production unit such as Tianzhai Workshop. However, the listening room is indispensable. After a singer's album or single is completed, it is necessary to take it back to the relevant personnel of the company for a listening, and then determine the marketing and promotion plan. Therefore, the listening room of EMI is still professional, with all kinds of sound equipment, even a large screen projection with accompaniment tapes and microphones, which can be used as a high-grade karaoke hall. Tang Xiaoqiao sang 2 songs to Lu Chen here, a sweet song and a fast song. Lu Chen listened very attentively. If the full score is 10 points, Tang Xiaoqiao's appearance condition is at least 7 points, and her exquisite dress can go up to 8 points. Her voice is a bit nasal, with a faint sweet girl's lazy feeling which is still very comfortable to listen to. It belongs to the kind of voice with characteristics and potential. It's not without reason that EMI signed her. However, the problem is that Tang Xiaoqiao's characteristics are not clear and strong enough, and her singing skills are not very good. In Beijing, where there are many talents, it is not easy for her to stand out. Unless there is a good song to help her. After listening, Lu Chen fell into deep thought. After listening to the singer's voice, other songwriters think about nothing more than what theme, melody, and arrangement to match each other's characteristics. Lu Chen thinks differently, and the problem he thinks about is not so complicated. That is, which song is suitable for him. If it weren't for not wanting to be too shocking, he would have written a few dozen songs for Tang Xiaoqiao on the spot. While Lu Chen was searching his memory, whether it was Tang Xiaoqiao, Li Zhigao or Wen Ziyuan, they all closed their mouths and looked at him with expectant eyes. Li Zhigao was even so nervous that a fine sweat appeared on his forehead. At the same time, in an office of EMI, Zhang Shuhui was on the phone with someone else. I see. She walked back and forth in the small room, agreeing and frowning from time to time. Zhang Qiong sat on the sofa, looking at her restless niece in front of her, and shook her head helplessly. This child is always so impatient. When she encounters something, she will lose her mind. She said that she is her aunt's agent, but in fact she is just like a nanny. After a while, Zhang Shuhui ended the call. She squeezed her cell phone hard and said with great annoyance, "Aunt, that Lu Chen is here. Xiao Chen told me that Director Wen took him, Li Zhigao and Tang Xiaoqiao into the listening room." What? Hearing the news, Zhang Qiong was also taken aback, and her face changed slightly. But she quickly understood and couldn't help sneering. Li Zhigao, that coward, is a little smart. He must have taken advantage of the loophole to persuade Wen Ziyuan to let that Lu Chen write songs for Tang Xiaoqiao. He came for me. Previously, Zhang Qiong deliberately disappeared in the company just to embarrass Wen Ziyuan. Unexpectedly, Li Zhigao seized the opportunity. Zhang Shuhui hesitated for a moment and asked, "Aunt, if Tang Xiaoqiao although they are both signed artists under director Wen Ziyuan, Zhang Shuhui has never paid attention to Tang Xiaoqiao, who debuted earlier than her. The latter's sequence in the company is 1 or 2 levels lower than hers, and there was no threat at all. However, this time, Tang Xiaoqiao unexpectedly got involved with Lu Chen, which made her instinctively vigilant. Zhang Shuhui is actually no stranger to Lu Chen, because she has watched most of the competitions of Singing China. Lu Chen's talent is beyond doubt. Zhang Shuhui's favorite song was "The Brightest Star in the Night Sky," that he sang in the final, which simply reached her heart. So, when Wen Ziyuan applied to the company for funds and asked Lu Chen to write songs for her, Zhang Shuhui was very happy. But Zhang Qiong strongly objected. Zhang Qiong's reasons for opposition were very strong. The style of Lu Chen's work is not suitable for her, and the price is too high. According to Zhang Qiong, only newcomers who don't know the immensity of heaven and earth dare to ask for such a big price. Wen Ziyuan is messing around and will make a fool of himself. Zhang Shuhui can't follow suit and become a laughing stock. Zhang Qiong recommended Shiyu to Zhang Shuhui. 250,000 yuan is enough to buy 3 good works. How can the funds that Zhang Qiong has applied for be squandered by Wen Ziyuan? Zhang Shuhui listens to Zhang Qiong's opinion, because she knows that her aunt loves her the most and will not harm her. However, now that she heard the news, her heart was in chaos again. What if the song Lu Qin wrote for Tang Qiaoqiao was very good and made Tang Qiaoqiao famous? This was originally her chance. What Zhang Shuhui was thinking, Zhang Qiong knew very well. She interrupted the former without hesitation and said very confidently, Tang Qiaoqiao has no chance. How can she be qualified to apply for the fund to buy songs? When Ziyuan did it on purpose for us to see that Lu Qin has come over. He can't let the other party go back directly, can he? So even if he's putting on an act, he can't offend others. Maybe Li Zhigao and Tang Qiaoqiao are the people he found temporarily. The more Zhang Qiong thought about it, the more she felt that she had guessed right. She slapped her hand fiercely, this old fox. It was as if the slap was on Wen Ziyuan's face. As soon as Zhang Shuhui heard this, what her aunt said was too reasonable. A relieved smile immediately appeared on her face. Zhang Qiong stood up, took her little hand and comforted her. Shuhui, don't think too much. I'll contact Shiyu right away and ask him to write some really good songs for you, and then we'll release an album. Great. Zhang Shuhui was immediately overjoyed. She immediately hugged Zhang Qiong and kissed her. Aunt, you're so kind to me. You child. Zhang Qiong glared at her angrily. She was secretly proud in her heart. Wen Ziyuan, you want to fight with me? Drink this old woman's foot-washing water. When Ziyuan didn't know that someone was going to invite him to drink foot-washing water. He was staring at Lu Qin eagerly. In the listening room, Lu Qin finally thought about it. He said to Wen Ziyuan, Director Wen, I already have an idea about Miss Tang Qiaoqiao's song. The day after tomorrow, I will bring the work to sign the contract and transfer the copyright. What? When Ziyuan wondered if there was something wrong with his ears. Teacher Lu Qin, do you mean to say that you can write a song for Tang Qiaoqiao the day after tomorrow? That was way too king fast. It should be known that the price offered by Lu Qin is 250,000 yuan, which is the price of a real famous artist in the industry. Although it is not as good as the top big names, it is also very amazing in EMI. Lu Qin unexpectedly said that it can be done in 2 days. Li Zhigao and Tang Qiaoqiao also showed an unbelievable look. Lu Qin said with a faint smile, I originally prepared this song for Qin Feier. I feel it is more suitable for Tang Qiaoqiao. Queen of sweet songs Qin Feier. Everyone was speechless. Only then did they remember that Qin Feier appreciates Lu Qin very much. She even invited Lu Qin to be a guest at the concert in the show. So, what Lu Qin said is most likely true. Chapter 143. I originally prepared this song for Qin Feier. If it were any other newcomer, saying such a thing would probably only make people laugh their teeth off. But Lu Qin is really different. Qin Feier's appreciation for Lu Qin has been fully reflected in the competition of Singing China. She alone gave Lu Qin full marks 5 times, surpassing Tan Hong, who likes to promote newcomers. In some online entertainment channels, there was even a small news such as, Qin Feier's favorite little fresh meat. Lu Qin didn't see these gossip, otherwise he would have vomited blood. He's a real man, okay? When Ziyuan, Li Zhigao and Tang Qiaoqiao were struck by lightning on the spot, but the 3 of them didn't have much doubt. Lu Qin's creative talent is obvious to all, and he didn't rely on anyone to hold him up and blow him up. It's not inconceivable that Qin Feier would invite him to sing a song. When Ziyuan reacted and beamed with joy, it turned out to be a song written by teacher Lu Qin for Heavenly Queen Qin. Don't think about it. Before he finished speaking, he was interrupted by Lu Qin. I won't admit it. Lu Qin understands Wen Ziyuan's idea. For a new singer, this is undoubtedly an excellent hype gimmick. But first of all, Lu Qin has to cooperate. If Lu Qin doesn't admit it, then even if EMI tries to stir things up, the effect will not be good, and he is afraid that he will offend both him and Qin Feier, which is not worth the loss. When Ziyuan never expected that Lu Qin was so shrewd that he saw through his thoughts at a glance. His smile couldn't help but become a little embarrassed. Lu Qin said with a smile, it doesn't matter if you use my name to hype up, but don't involve teacher Qin Feier. Even if he did not mention it just now, he was still a little worried that Qin Feier would be dragged into this. Many entertainment agencies, in order to create hype, would forcefully attach themselves to people who were completely unrelated, let alone people who were even remotely related. Therefore, Lu Qin hit Wen Ziyuan not lightly or heavily, lest the other party have unrealistic ideas. He is willing to sell his works to EMI, and doesn't mind the other party using his name for publicity, but it can't involve a third party, otherwise everyone will break up. If it were any other newcomer, they wouldn't have the qualifications to speak like this. However, it was Lu Qin who said it, and Wen Ziyuan was really convinced. He was even grateful. The work that Lu Qin took out was originally prepared for the Heavenly Queen. All right. Wen Ziyuan hurriedly said, Teacher Lu Qin, you can rest assured that we have a sense of propriety. Then I will prepare the contract first and wait for you in the company the day after tomorrow. Lu Qin took the initiative to extend his hand to him. Then let's have a pleasant cooperation. Wen Ziyuan laughed. It's a pleasure working with you. He held Lu Qin's hand hard and his heart was very happy. The director of the brokerage department of EMI has secretly made up his mind to apply for the funds to buy songs. Originally, 2 days was not enough at all. The company's process was not that fast at all. However, if he used his connections to do special things, Wen Ziyuan was still quite sure. After all, the money was not a lot. If it really doesn't work, he will pay it out of his own pocket first. In order to suppress Zhang Qiong's arrogance, Wen Ziyuan also went all out. After declining the warm invitation of Wen Ziyuan and others to have lunch together, Lu Qin returned to his studio. At 2 p.m. he will be interviewed here by a special reporter of QQ Music. During the process of participating in this Singing China competition, and after the final, Lu Qin has been interviewed several times, including group interviews and individual interviews. But it was the first time for such a special invitation to make an appointment for an official interview. Although the other party was not a reporter from a well-known newspaper or TV station, QQ Music was the largest and strongest of all music websites. To be able to get their special interview was something worth celebrating for any newcomer. It even needed to spend money on public relations. The primary reason why Lu Qin was able to get this opportunity was that several of his works were very popular in QQ Music. QQ Music is an important partner of Singing China, organized by Beijing Television. The live version of all the contestants' songs will be put on it for free on demand by netizens. Although Lu Qin's works are all original works, they are no exception. And his works have repeatedly rushed to the home page of QQ Music's hit list. So far, the live version of 3 original works, Chasing Dream with a Childlike Heart, The Brightest Star in the Night Sky, and You Who Sat Next to Me, have exceeded 100 million views. Among them, Chasing Dream with a Childlike Heart occupied the top spot for 7 consecutive days, until it was squeezed down by The Brightest Star in the Night Sky. As for the others, Fly Higher, The Bright Times of Youth, Those Flowers, and so on, they all have excellent performance. Lu Qin's songs even dominated the list for a time. Such a situation was so rare that the official QQ Music had to use technical means to readjust the list, making several songs fall off the list. Because Lu Qin's songs have been on the list one after another, it has seriously affected the works that many website partners are playing, publicizing and selling. Those who spend money have an opinion. Our money can't be thrown into the water. Such unspoken rules have long been a secret in the industry, especially in the entertainment channels of portals. If you want to show your face and take back the headlines unless you are a real big shot, you don't even need to think about buying a place without paying for it. The same is true of QQ Music. As the largest music website in China, with hundreds of millions of registered users, its way to make money in addition to sales shares, the most important thing is advertising and ranking income. So, it's normal for Lu Qin's song to be suppressed after touching the interests of the investor. However, Lu Qin doesn't care. After all, the publicity purpose of his work has been achieved, and he will cooperate with QQ Music to sell the online version of his debut album. At that time, as long as the results are excellent, QQ Music will naturally promote it, and it will not be a problem to promote it to the sky. And this time, the special interview seems to have some intention of making up for it. Most of the above was analyzed by Lu Shi for Lu Qin. She has been paying close attention to the movements on the internet. For example, Lu Qin's blog is personally managed by her sister. In addition to the special interview with QQ Music, Lu Shi also has a work report to Lu Qin, which needs him to make his own decision. I've already talked to the clothing company that recently asked you to endorse an advertisement. Whether to cooperate or not, it's up to you to decide. This is the advantage of being famous. Even when you sit at home, there are people eagerly sending money to your door. Lu Qin's eyes lit up and he quickly asked, "What kind of clothing is it? How much is it?" Thinking that he is going to shoot his first advertisement, he was a little excited. Lu Shi said with a slight smile, "It's considered clothing, men's underwear, and the endorsement fee is 100,000 yuan a year." Men's underwear? Lu Qin was suddenly shocked. He originally thought it was a suit or trousers or something, but the result was too unexpected. Of course, underwear is something that everyone has to wear, but thinking about wearing only a pair of underwear on camera and being photographed as an advertising album or magazine insert or something, Lu Chen felt that the picture was too beautiful. He couldn't help but shiver and all the hair on his body stood up. Forget it, help me refuse. It's not that Lu Chen doesn't want to make money, but the money is unacceptable to him. The key is that the money is too little, and it's not worth it for him to sell his body. 100,000 yuan is less than the price of half a song. Regarding Lu Chen's answer, Lu Shi was not surprised at all. Okay. Lu Chen asked, is there anything else? Lu Shi flipped through the notepad in her hand and continued, there are a few more invitations and I have answered them for you. Invitations in the entertainment industry refer to artists participating in various programs and public activities, such as signing sessions, talk shows, promotional meetings, endorsement activities, press conferences, etc., according to the intention of the entertainment company or agency company, to increase their exposure rate during a certain period of time. Most of the invitations have an announcement fee, and the price depends on the status in the circle. It can range from thousands to tens of thousands or even hundreds of thousands. There are also a small number of free invitations for pure publicity. In general, it is a necessary path for new artists. There are even artistes who specialize in running invitations. It's just that the status of artistes in the circle is very low. They belong to singers, idols, or non-A-list stars who are not popular enough, have no contract with a specific company, or have no programs to do. These people no longer worked in a fixed studio or recording room like they usually did. Instead, they traveled between various variety shows every day to talk about the gossip in the circle, popular news, and the little secrets of themselves and other artists. Otherwise, they would play some pranks on some entertainment shows to amuse everyone. In short, it's low. As an independent artist, Lu Chen is not under the pressure of a signed company, so he has a lot of freedom in this regard. Some agency companies will force artists to participate in invitations. Of course, without the company's network resources, many invitations will not take the initiative to find him. And Lu Chen himself is not interested in this. Because he doesn't have much time to deal with the time-consuming and laborious invitations that don't make much money. Lu Shi understands Lu Chen's thoughts, so she directly replied. At the same time, she reminded him, if it's an invitation from Beijing television, then you have to go anyway. Lu Chen nodded. He must maintain his relationship with Beijing television. Even if he can't make money, he has to give them face. Otherwise, if he is too maverick, he won't be able to stay in the entertainment industry for long. Finally, there's the offer from the two performance companies, Lu Shi said. Food, accommodation, round-trip air tickets or high-speed rail tickets are included. 30,000 yuan for a song. If you agree, you can sign a one-year contract first. Performing invitations is also the key to making money for artists, but the other party's offer makes Lu Chen a little sad. He is a newcomer and has no signed company to support him. He scratched his head and asked his sister, Sister, do you think it's bad if I don't talk about it or sign it? Lu Shi smiled sweetly, it's good that you know. Chapter 144. The special reporter of QQ Music is surnamed Lei. She is not tall, at most about 1.6 meters, but she is quite sexy and mature, with an oval face, willow leaf eyebrows, big eyes and dimples, and when she smiles she shows two small canine teeth, with a bit of girlish innocence, giving people the feeling that she is not in the entertainment circle, but an entertainment reporter. It's really a pity. Lei's voice is very pleasant to hear, sweet and soft, with the unique charm of Jiangnan women. It also makes Lu Chen feel very cordial. Teacher Lu Chen, what made you finally embark on the road of music? At 3 o'clock in the afternoon, in the reception room of Lu Chen's studio. Lu Chen and the female reporter from QQ Music sat face to face. The 2 cups of freshly brewed coffee on the glass coffee table were surrounded by white mist, and the air was filled with the faint aroma of authentic coffee beans. Compared with the fragrant coffee, Lei was obviously more interested in Lu Chen. She sat down and couldn't wait to turn on the recording pen and ask the latter her first question. Lu Chen said with a smile, I don't dare to be a teacher. Reporter Lei is more used to calling me by my name. Have a cup of coffee first. Someone gave me a coffee from Brazil. Tastes pretty good. Let's talk slowly. The title of teacher was originally a respectful title in the circle for those seniors who have made their debut early and have been famous for a long time. Later, it was a little overused, but anyone with a little bit of status can call him, especially suitable for those who have no deep relationship. Lu Chen is a newcomer who has just made his debut. Originally, he did not have such qualifications. Even if he has written good works, his qualifications in the circle are too shallow. It is already great for others to call him De Chen or Brother Chen. However, he was positioned as a judge in the second season of Singing China by Beijing Television. Even after the audition, his status in the industry has suddenly risen, and he is no longer just a newcomer. In addition, the circle has a lot of respect for singers and songwriters, so it is not too much to call him teacher. Many things in the entertainment circle are so wonderful, and people who are not in the circle often do not understand the connotation. But Lu Chen will not confidently think that he deserves it. Face was given by others, but face was lost by oneself. Maintaining a humble and cautious attitude would allow one to go further. As expected, Lei Lei had a better impression of Lu Chen's humble attitude. She relaxed and took a sip of her coffee. The female reporter's eyes lit up and she praised, "Not bad." Lei Lei often drank coffee. Although she was not a coffee expert, she could still distinguish between good and bad tastes. Lu Chen smiled and said, "If reporter Lei likes it, then you can bring a jar back. Anyway, I'm just presenting Buddha with borrowed flowers." His coffee was sent by Wen Ziyuan, and there were 2 cans in total. Yesterday after the test at EMI, Lu Chen didn't let the other party treat him to dinner. The brokerage director probably felt very embarrassed, so he insisted on sending him 2 cans of Brazilian coffee beans. Lu Chen asked Chen Xan to buy some tools to grind the coffee powder to serve the guests. The effect was really good. As the saying goes, after eating a cup of delicious coffee, Lei Lei's attitude became a lot more easygoing. "Then I'll call you Lu Chen, but you can't call me reporter Lei." Lu Chen smiled, "Okay, sister Lei Lei." Lei Lei is about 4 or 5 years older than him, so it's definitely right to call her sister. To become a star idol, it's very important to have a good relationship with media reporters. Otherwise, if others slander you in newspapers, magazines or on the internet every 2 or 3 days, no one can stand it. The real bigwigs often had a good relationship with the media. For example, Tan Hong had not been involved in any scandals for so many years. Part of the reason was that he had a good character, but the other reason was that he had deep connections in the industry. How to properly build a good relationship with the media, Chen Jinhao taught Lu Chen and Lu Shi a lot of experience respectively. Lu Chen has rich experience in 3 dream lives, and it's not difficult to understand at all. After he and Lei Lei talked and laughed and got closer to each other, they got down to business and entered the formal interview session. The question goes back to Lei Lei's previous question. Lu Chen thought for a moment and said, "My earliest exposure to music came from my parents' expectations of me. I learned piano when I was a child. Probably because I wasn't talented enough, I didn't learn much, so I gave up. Later, I liked the guitar, so I learned it myself, but at that time I felt that playing the guitar was easy to chase after girls." Speaking of this, Lei Lei showed a knowing smile. Many boys learn to play and sing just to be handsome and cool to attract the attention of girls, and this trick is very effective. Lei Lei couldn't help remembering that when she was in college, there were boys who sang for her downstairs in the dormitory. Unfortunately, the other party didn't have Lu Chen's talent, nor did he have Lu Chen's handsomeness. Otherwise she might have agreed. Lu Chen continued, "When I was in college, something happened to my family, so I came to Beijing early to work and became a singer in a bar. That was when I really started on the road of music." Lei Lei said, "You once said in the Singing China competition that your dream is to make a lot of money and want to help your family pay off their debts. So, is the motivation for you to embark on the road of music from your responsibility to your family?" Lu Chen said calmly, "You can say that." After winning the championship of Singing China, Lu Chen is a celebrity in his hometown of Binhai City. So, soon on the Waves blog, someone revealed his family's situation. At that time, Lu Chen's father, Lu Qingxing, was also a well-known entrepreneur in Binhai. His business failure was entirely due to bad luck. He was affected by the international financial storm, which led to the breakage of the capital chain. Lu Qingxing's reputation has always been very good in the local area. He is straightforward, generous and trustworthy, so many relatives, friends and partners are willing to lend him money. In the end, his death from illness was purely unexpected. The Lu family's experience made people sigh, but the most surprising thing was that Lu Qingxing's widow, Fang Yun, Lu Chen's mother, resolutely took up the huge debt, so as not to let those relatives and friends who trusted Lu Qingxing suffer losses, nor to let Lu Qingxing's reputation be tarnished. But anyone who knows about this has great admiration for Fang Yun. Trustworthiness and reputation have always been the virtue of the Chinese nation. Therefore, when Lu Chen talked about his dream of making money at the Singing China competition, not only did it not make people feel the slightest bit disgusted, but it made people feel his sincerity, confidence and courage. The song, Chasing Dream with a Childlike Heart, sings Lu Chen's indomitable spirit in the face of life's difficulties. And Zhuang Hao, who questioned Lu Chen's dream, has had his blog blown up by countless people. Even the Xiaomei magazine where he works, could not withstand the pressure from netizens and had to apologize on behalf of Zhuang Hao. Now this so-called editor-cum-music critic had even shut down his own blog, completely disappearing without a trace. Lei Lei mentioned this matter, but also intended to correct Lu Chen's name. After all, the latter has not publicly explained the situation. She continued to ask, "What made you have such rich and colorful music ideas and write such good songs as In the Spring and You Who Sat Next to Me? What is your source of inspiration? Why do you have such a different style of expression in your creation, and what is your attitude towards others' doubts?" Although she has a good impression of Lu Chen, as the interview went on, reporter Lei's professional nature was inevitably exposed. A series of questions hit Lu Chen like a storm, which was a bit aggressive. But she didn't think there was anything wrong with it. Since he has stepped into the entertainment industry and become a popular star, Lu Chen is bound to accept all kinds of interviews in the future, and face more tricky, fierce and even vicious questions than she did. If he can't cope with the one-on-one special interview now, there will be plenty of trouble in the future. Therefore, Lei Lei deliberately speeded up her speech, and the questions she asked were targeted, thus forming a sense of oppression. She wanted to see how Lu Chen would deal with it. In fact, since Lu Chen participated in Singing China, the questioning voice against him on the internet has not completely disappeared, mainly focusing on his creative style. The most typical one is In the Spring, which is not like a 22-year-old young man can write. And Lu Chen's performance was not as nervous or flustered as Lei Lei imagined. Lu Chen smiled calmly. He didn't answer Lei Lei's question directly. "Sister Lei Lei, let me first tell you the origin of my name on Wave's blog, Lu Chen FMX. Lu Chen's Inspire blog ID is Lu Chen FM. At present, the number of fans following him has exceeded 5 million, which can be regarded as reaching the entry standard of Big V. The number of forwarding, comments and likes of his blog post is quite high. But no one knows the real meaning of this ID." Lei Lei was suddenly stunned. She couldn't figure out what Lu Chen's blog account had to do with her question. However, her reporter's intuition told her that Lu Chen must have something to do with it. So, she nodded with a smile on her face. Lu Chen explained, "Lu Chen FMX. Lu Chen represents myself, while FMX represents 3 other people. Their names are Fang Mingi, Mo Ran and Su Bo. They are all good teachers and helpful friends in my life in music. They let me know a lot of principles of life. They let me understand the importance of persistence. When selling the copyright of In the Spring, Lu Chen told others about Su Bo's story. At that time he once made a vow in his heart to make Su Bo's name a legend in the world. But not only Su Bo, Fang Mingi and Mo Ran were also indispensable. He felt that without any one of them, his life after experiencing the long dream would no longer be complete. So, taking advantage of the opportunity of an interview with QQ Music, Lu Chen selectively told the story of the 3 of them. Not just to explain. It was memories, remembrance and also a memorial. Chapter 145. Lei Lei became a reporter after graduating from university. She had been in the entertainment industry for 3 years. Of course, she couldn't compare with those old foxes in terms of experience, but she had interviewed many celebrities and idols. Among them, most of them were newly debuted artists. But Lei Lei had never seen a newcomer like Lu Chen, who was already famous in the industry and had considerable popularity. But in front of her, he was humble and not humble. His words were polite and not hypocritical, giving people a feeling of a spring breeze. Moreover, he was very handsome, not the kind of young and fresh meat that was popular nowadays. He was stylish and manly. Listening to Lu Chen's story, it was more like sharing his life experience. Unconsciously, Lei Lei put aside her professional instincts and began to listen very carefully. She was also deeply moved. Lu Chen's story was not very long. It ended after pointing out the origin of his creative style. Lei Lei came to her senses and couldn't help saying, "You are very lucky. In this life, it was great luck to have a good teacher and helpful friend, but Lu Chen had 3. Lu Chen said frankly, "Yes, I am very lucky. That long dream was definitely a miracle and it was also his luck." Lei Lei sighed and said, "No wonder you can create such excellent works. Then how do you deal with other people's doubts?" Lu Chen replied without hesitation, "Go my own way and let others talk. In the entertainment industry, you should be able to bear as much honor as you can bear. Go your own way, let others talk." Lei Lei's eyes lit up. "You have also read Dante's Divine Comedy?" Lu Chen smiled, revealing 8 white and clean teeth. Lei Lei was a little dizzy because Lu Chen's smile at this moment was as bright as the sun. She couldn't help blushing and quickly changed the topic. "Then what do you think about the future?" After that, the interview returned to a routine rhythm. Lei Lei asked about Lu Chen's future career plans, whether he had plans to release an album, and even asked about Chen Fei. In October, Chen Fei would hold a concert in Beijing, and Lu Chen was one of the scheduled guests. She even asked about Lu Chen's height, weight, hobbies, and criteria for choosing a girlfriend. Lu Chen answered as much as he could, but when it involved his privacy he just smiled and didn't answer. Lei Lei was not annoyed. The atmosphere during the interview was very harmonious. When the interview ended, it was already 4:30 in the afternoon. Lu Chen stood up and said, "Lei Lei, let's have dinner together tonight. There's a good restaurant here." Lei Lei pursed her lips and smiled. "I really want to, but I have to rush my draft. Maybe next time." Seeing that she was not pretending to be polite, Lu Chen did not force her. He called Lu Shi over and the two of them walked Lei Lei down the building. Before leaving, Lu Shi gave Lei Lei a red packet, the rules of Jianghu. There were 10 banknotes in the red packet. If it wasn't for Qin Jinhao's guidance, she really wouldn't have known that there was such a rule, let alone the correct amount of money. The thickness of the red packet was different for different reporters. Lei Lei didn't refuse, but after going back, she must help Lu Chen put in more good words. She even thought of the title of the exclusive interview, which was, "Go Your Own Way, Let Others Talk." After watching the reporter from QQ Music Network leave, Lu Shi snorted softly and said to Lu Chen, "If you have nothing to do in the future, you should deal with this woman less in the future." Previously, when Lei Lei interviewed Lu Chen, Lu Shi was not present. However, when she saw him off, out of a woman's keen intuition, she found that Lei Lei seemed to have a different kind of affection for Lu Chen. This discovery made her sister a little vigilant. She didn't want to interfere with Lu Chen's emotional life, but the entertainment industry was so chaotic. There were many bad women. If Lu Chen was entangled by one of them, it would be endless trouble. Lu Chen said with a wry smile, "Sister, reporter Lei is not a bad person. I have a sense of propriety." Lu Shi gave him a white look. "I'm just reminding you. Anyway, you just have to pay attention to yourself. In addition, don't forget that you have to sign a contract with EMI tomorrow. Is the work ready?" "I've been ready for a long time," Lu Chen said confidently. "You just wait to collect the money." Compared with Lu Chen's strong self-confidence, Wen Ziyuan is too guilty. The day before yesterday he was forced by Zhang Qiong to the top of his head and agreed to Li Zhigao's request to apply for funds to buy songs for Tang Qiaoqiao. As a result, after using his relationship, Wen Ziyuan really got a budget of 100,000 yuan. This kind of speed was usually enjoyed by the top artists in the company. But Wen Ziyuan was not happy at all. Because after he calmed down he realized that he was too impulsive. Now Wen Ziyuan is completely tied to Tang Qiaoqiao and Li Zhigao. If Lu Chen's work is worth the money, it's okay. If it's ordinary, then Wen Ziyuan, the director's position, can no longer sit on it. Look at the kind of people sitting in the listening room today. The biggest piece is Song Sun, the deputy general manager of EMI and the direct boss of Wen Ziyuan's immediate boss. Then there is the manager of the brokerage department, the manager of the public relations department, and 2 directors of the brokerage department. Wen Ziyuan knows very well that these 2 guys who are on the same level as him are definitely here to see him make a fool of himself. In addition, there is also Wan Xinghua, a music consultant of Tianzhai Workshop. Wan Xinghua is also a well-known musician in the circle. He has produced many albums. He serves as a consultant to a number of entertainment media and music production companies. He is a good friend of Song Sun. Song Sun invited Wan Xinghua, saying that he was checking Lu Chen's works, but his real purpose is unknown. It's just a song. There's no need to be so grand, even if it's worth 250,000 yuan. In addition, Zhang Qiong and Zhang Shuhui are also here. According to the rules, the 2 shouldn't be here at all, but Zhang Qiong's relationship is strong enough. Wen Ziyuan knows very well that if others are here to see him make a fool of himself, then Zhang Qiong is ready to knock a nail on his coffin. The latter has been coveting his position for a long time. As for Li Zhigao, he is not qualified to sit in the listening room and has long since shrunk to the corner. What a big battle. Although the air conditioner in the listening room is very low, Wen Ziyuan's sweat is still coming out. "Director Wen, how long do you want everyone to wait?" After sitting for a few minutes, Zhang Qiong asked in a strange tone. "Several managers don't have so much free time." Motherf ***. Did I invite them here? Wen Ziyuan cursed in his heart. He wished he could slap this woman to the ground on the spot and use his majestic body, which weighs 200 pounds to XXOO and then OXX. Of course he just thought about it and he had to explain to Song Sun with a smile, "Manager Song, I'll go and urge them." At 1 o'clock this afternoon, Lu Chen brought people over. The two sides have signed a formal copyright transfer contract, and the song work has been handed over to Tang Xiaoqiao. She paid 100,000 yuan herself. As a songwriter, Lu Qin behaved professionally enough. He didn't just sell the song and get the money, but gave Tang Xiaoqiao separate guidance on singing his own work. After all, only the original author can fully express the essence of the work. After the guidance, they also had to go to the listening room for another audition. Lu Qin even prepared the accompaniment tape. What Wen Ziyuan didn't expect was that Song Sun actually came over with a large team of people at this time. He didn't affect the communication between Lu Qin and Tang Xiaoqiao. He sat in the listening room and waited to listen to the new song. Zhang Qiong, who was haunting him, also appeared here with her niece. At that time, Wen Ziyuan felt as if there were 10,000 grass mud horses galloping through his heart. But what's done can't be undone. Even if he wanted to go back, it was too late. The brokerage director was really frustrated in his heart. All his hopes could only be pinned on Lu Qin. If he wants to blame, he can only blame himself for being too impulsive. Don't worry, Song Sun waved his hand gracefully and said, let's not disturb other people's work. Let's wait a little longer. The deputy general manager of EMI is in his 30s. He is elegant, but he is decisive and capable. He has won the trust of the parent company's board of directors and has great prestige in the company. Sitting next to him, Wan Xinghua pushed his black-rimmed glasses and said, your company is really willing. 250,000 yuan for a song is really a big deal. But this Lu Qin is still very creative talent. I hope it's worth the money. Wan Xinghua and Song Sun are old friends. When they heard that EMI offered a high price to invite Lu Qin to sing, they had a strong interest in coming over to have a look and get to know the new singer and songwriter who has recently become famous. He didn't know the inside story, but he felt that the price was too high, and it was inevitable that he would have a picky idea. In the spring, you who sat next to me, and so on are good works, but Lu Qin is a newcomer. A newcomer wants to reach the sky in a single bound. Where are the seniors in the circle? In Wan Xinghua's view, Lu Qin's approach is somewhat against the rules. Of course, it's normal for young people to rely on a little talent to not know the immensity of heaven and earth. At present, there is a lack of original works in China. The rise of Lu Qin is also a good thing, so it's better to encourage him. It should be known that Tan Hong and Qin Fei are two big stars, appreciate Lu Qin very much. Wan Xinghua thought to himself, but Song Sun smiled and said nothing. This time, the company's buying songs from Lu Qin is more complicated, and even involves internal power struggles. He personally brought people here mainly to deter them. You guys are fighting, but if it affects the development of the company, be careful that I will fall out with you. Song Sun's eyes quickly swept over the faces of Zhang Qiong and Zhang Shuhui, who were sitting on the side without warning. Zhang Qiong noticed it and immediately showed a flattering smile. This woman. Song Sun snorted softly in his heart. At this time, the door of the listening room was pushed open, and a young man in a t-shirt and jeans came in with a girl in a white skirt. Both of them were taken aback when they saw that the room was already full. Wen Ziyuan, however, was like being pardoned. He quickly got up and greeted, Teacher Lu Qin. Chapter 146. What a big lineup. Lu Qin didn't expect so many people to come to the listening room, and he couldn't help but be surprised. He looked at Wen Ziyuan with puzzled eyes. What's going on? Wen Ziyuan wiped his sweat and explained, Teacher Lu Qin, let me introduce you, this is... He first introduced Song Sun to Lu Qin, then Wan Xinghua, the manager of the brokerage department, the manager of the public relations department, and so on. As for Zhang Qiong and Zhang Shuhui, Wen Ziyuan directly ignored them and pretended not to see them. You've stepped on my face, do you really think I'm made of mud? Zhang Qiong was so angry that her eyebrows were raised, but with so many senior executives of the company present, she didn't dare to lose her temper. As for the others, no matter what they thought in their hearts, they were polite to Lu Qin. In the pop music world or entertainment industry, powerful songwriters are still very respected. In terms of status, they are no less than those star idols. Of course, their fame outside the circle is much worse. Ordinary people will only remember the singer when they listen to songs, and basically no one will pay attention to who the author is. But in the circle, Lu Qin's status as an author is higher than that of a singer, so even Song Sun, the deputy general manager of EMI, took the initiative to shake hands with Lu Qin with a smile. Of course, this doesn't mean that they think that the song Lu Qin gave to Tang Xiaoqiao is necessarily worth a high price of 250,000 yuan. Because Lu Qin's position has just been established and is not stable enough. After the pleasantries, Wan Xinghua couldn't wait to ask, Mr. Lu Qin, I heard that you wrote a new song for EMI? Lu Qin was a little surprised and didn't understand why the other party would be so eager. This is the music consultant of Tianjai Workshop. He is an outsider here, but Wen Ziyuan respects him very much. Lu Qin maintained his composure on the surface and said with a smile, "Yes, I'm preparing to sing. Teacher Wan, please give me some pointers." Wan Xinghua was not polite and immediately nodded and said, "Well said." To Lu Qin, he was considered a senior in the industry and was qualified to guide Lu Qin. Lu Qin turned around and said to the confused Tang Qiao, "I'll play the accompaniment, and you can try it again." Previously in Wen Ziyuan office, Lu Qin analyzed the music score for Tang Qiao, as well as the stylistic characteristics of his work, as well as the details that need to be paid attention to when singing. Tang Qiao is talented in music, and the difficulty of this song is not very high, so she comprehended it very quickly, so she came to the listening room to practice singing. As the first client of the studio, Lu Qin was willing to spend some time and energy to make a name for himself in the industry. "I just didn't expect that there were so many people waiting to listen to the lecture, and they are all high-level EMI." Tang Qiao was even more frightened. Lu Qin's words brought her back to reality. She hurriedly walked to the microphone, still looking a little uneasy. Lu Qin took out the USB flash drive that had already been prepared, inserted it into the playback device and pressed the play button. The prelude to the music sounded. The song was written a long time ago, and the accompaniment was made by Lu Qin himself with a software synthesizer yesterday. It was not very good, but there was no problem in using it for Tang Qiao's audition. The real arrangement has to be solved by EMI itself, which is not included in the contract. Following the rhythm, Tang Qiao opened her mouth, but did not sing the lyrics. Her face suddenly turned red. As a singer from a talent competition, Tang Qiao's performance should not have been so poor, but this song has placed too many expectations on her, and the pressure in her heart was very heavy. And the people sitting in front of her listening to the song were many senior executives of the company, which made her too nervous. Zhang Shuhui, who was sitting on the edge of the listening room, couldn't help showing a look of ridicule. In Zhang Shuhui's eyes, there was no Tang Qiao at all, even if the latter belonged to the same group as her. Tang Qiao actually bought a song from Lu Qin, which made her very upset. "Even if this lady doesn't want it, you can think about it. Can you be worth 250,000 for a song?" So, she followed her aunt here to see Tang Qiao make a fool of herself. As a result, Tang Qiao really made a fool of herself. Zhang Qiong directly sneered. Li Zhigao's old face wrinkled into a bitter gourd, desperately winking at Tang Qiao, indicating the other party to calm down. In fact, he put more pressure on Tang Qiao. Song Sun, Wan Xinghua and others all frowned, feeling that Tang Qiao's psychological quality was very poor. Even if such a newcomer gave her a good song, could she really hold it up? Wen Ziyuan's smile was uglier than crying. At a critical moment, if Tang Qiao dropped the chain, where would he put his face? Lu Qin was quick-witted and immediately pressed the stop button. He said to Tang Qiao, "You don't have to be nervous. This song was specially written for you. You will surely be able to sing it well. Don't have any pressure. Sing it naturally and relax. Anyway, it's just the beginning of practice." Specially written for Tang Qiao? Several of the company's top executives who knew the inside story secretly shook their heads and even curled their lips in disdain. It was really boasting without a draft. In 2 days, Lu Qin could write a good song specially for Tang Qiao? It was estimated that it was either a work that had been written a long time ago, or it was a last-minute rush. Lu Qin's statement was nothing more than to show that EMI didn't spend money in vain. This kind of small trick was not worth mentioning in their eyes. Tang Qiao, however, relaxed. After all, she was not a pure newcomer who had just come out. She had performed well in the talent competition before. Once she calmed down, she became more natural and reached for the microphone. Seeing this, Lu Qin replayed the accompaniment. This time, Tang Qiao did not drop the chain again and sang along with the accompaniment. "It's nice to think about it all night, making me unable to sleep. Why do you always want to escape? If lovesickness can't be cured, I can only blame myself for not being able to find the antidote. You never gave me a sign of love. Oops, I fell earlier than you. You love less than me, doomed to suffer. No, the elegance is gone, the restless heartbeat, the whole world can hear it." Just the first part made everyone present except Lu Qin moved. They were all insiders. Even if they were not professionals, they all had the basic ability to appreciate a song. In the simplest terms, it was not good to hear and did not have the potential to become popular. The new song Lu Qin wrote for Tang Qiao is very special. Its style is cold and has a strong personalized color. Different from ordinary love songs or fast songs, it has a heartwarming charm in it. "Tian, At first glance it was a refreshing feeling. What was admirable was that the characteristics of Tang Xiaoqiao's voice were revealed through this song. That kind of nasal voice, full of the flavor of a proud little girl, contains the ethereal temperament of an elf who has fallen into the world. If there was a shortcoming, it was that she did not sing smoothly enough. But she had just started practicing. "Don't be so proud, I may leave at any time, you haven't held my hand yet. The night is too long and the moonlight is bound to get cold, what to do? You owe me a hug and I smiled at you again and again, why haven't you seen my good?" As soon as Tang Xiaoqiao finished singing the chorus, Wan Xinghua slapped his thigh and shouted, "Good!" This chorus was very wonderful. It suddenly raised the level of the song, and the climax was very in place. This song was written for Tang Xiaoqiao, and it was also written for thousands of girls in their teens and 20s. Based on Wan Xinghua's many years of experience, it was difficult for this work to become a big hit, but it was not a problem at all. With proper publicity and promotion, it was enough to create a new star. Song Sun's face showed a smile. "You like this song?" Although Tang Xiaoqiao's singing was still very rusty and the accompaniment was very rough, the beautiful melody of the work has been shown. It was nothing more than a matter of later arrangement and practice. Good songs are hard to find, and this song was worth buying. Several managers and supervisors looked at each other, speechless. They originally wanted to come to see a joke, but they became witnesses instead. Witnessing a newcomer about to stand out. Wen Ziyuan and Li Zhigao, on the other hand, felt as if they had returned to heaven from hell. Especially Wen Ziyuan, he was simply comfortable. He knew that his risk was successful, the money was not spent in vain, and his position could still sit firmly. As for Zhang Qiong, Wen Ziyuan looked at the other party and was not surprised to see the latter's astonished and ugly face. It was as if he had drunk 3 bottles of iced mineral water under the scorching sun, cool from the top of his head to the bottom of his feet. All the depression that had accumulated in his heart had vanished into thin air. If it weren't for the presence of so many high-level executives, Wen Ziyuan really wanted to laugh and declare his victory. But Zhang Shuhui, who was sitting next to Zhang Qiong, was in an extremely bad mood. She pinched her fingers hard, bit her lips, and stared at Tang Xiaoqiao, who was singing better and better, as if there were countless poisonous snakes biting in her heart. This song should have belonged to her, and she should have stood in that position. As a result, this song was snatched away by Tang Xiaoqiao, who she had taken a fancy to at all. It was so unfair. At this moment, Zhang Shuhui even had a trace of resentment towards Zhang Qiong. If it weren't for her aunt's strong opposition, how could she miss this opportunity? "Making me unable to sleep, why do you always want to escape?" After singing a song, Tang Xiaoqiao's face was full of confidence, and her eyes were bright and full of joy. After singing the whole song once, Tang Xiaoqiao really understood the brilliance of this song. She liked this song, which was really tailor-made for herself. It was undoubtedly her luck to get this work. Clap, clap, clap. There was a sudden burst of applause in the listening room. Song Sun clapped his hands with a smile on his face. He stood up and asked, "What's the name of this song?" Tang Xiaoqiao looked straight at the other party, summoned up her courage and said, "So proud, its name is So Proud." Then Tang Xiaoqiao looked at Lu Chen with gratitude. Because it was him who made her so proud. Note, So Proud lyricist, Limanting/composer, Lu Dajiang. Chapter 147. Tang Xiaoqiao has always been a very proud girl. But her pride has always been hidden in the deepest part of her heart, and it has never been easily revealed. Because her family is very ordinary, if she puts her pride on her face, she doesn't know how much trouble it will cause. Tang Xiaoqiao is also a very smart girl. Since signing with EMI, she has been working very hard to learn and strive for every opportunity. As long as it is the work arranged by the company, even if it is hard and tiring, she will seriously complete it. But even so, it was still too difficult to stand out in the talent agency. Li Zhigao, the agent arranged for her by the company, was honest and had a good character, but he was not good at scheming and could not help her too much. More often, Tang Xiaoqiao can only rely on herself. So, when she inadvertently learned that Zhang Qiong and Zhang Shuhui forced Wen Ziyuan to give up buying songs from Lu Chen, she resolutely pulled Li Zhigao together to apply to the latter. She wants to pay for Lu Chen's work with her own money. Because her keen intuition tells Tang Xiaoqiao that the opportunity she has been waiting for has come. Under Tang Xiaoqiao's insistence, Wen Ziyuan agreed to her request and helped her apply for a sum of money so that she could successfully get Lu Chen's new work. So Proud. What a good name. Although the song may not have much connotation, and the melody is not invincible. Maybe it's just nice to listen to, but after Tang Xiaoqiao sang it once, she knew that the song was too suitable for her. And I've smiled at you again and again. Why haven't you seen my goodness yet? On the surface, this lyric describes the relationship between men and women, but isn't it also a portrayal of her life experience? Tang Xiaoqiao has waited so hard for so long, and the goddess of luck smiled at her for the first time. Her dream is to let her restless heartbeat be heard all over the world. Tang Xiaoqiao held the microphone in her hand hard, as if she was holding the whole world. And at this moment she can finally show herself in front of everyone, a little bit of pride. The applause in the listening room continued and warm. There's no other way. Song Sun has been applauding. Which manager and supervisor below dared not to follow. Even Zhang Qiong had to pinch her nose and clap a few times. Her exquisitely made-up face was about to contort, and she was practically gnashing her teeth. Song Sun took 2 steps forward, extended his hand to Lu Chen and said, "Teacher Lu Chen, thank you for composing such an outstanding work for our company's artist. It's worth it." His attitude was different from before. Although he was polite at first, it was purely out of courtesy and etiquette and not out of respect from the heart. Now that Lu Chen had proven his strength, even the vice president of the agency had to treat him seriously. A good song can make a newcomer famous. Lu Chen smiled faintly, shook hands and said, "Manager Song, you're too polite. It's my responsibility to provide good works." Lu Chen's humble attitude made Song Sun secretly admire him. He was even more determined to establish a long-term friendly relationship with him. An outstanding songwriter at the peak of his creative career was a real gold mine. Anyone who had experienced the golden age of domestic pop music in the 1980s and 1990s would understand this. Song Sun said to Tang Xiaoqiao next to him, "Your name is Tang Xiaoqiao, right? You sang this song very well. The cost of buying the song was fully reimbursed by the company. I'll give you a single first, and if the result is good, I can consider making an album." Song Sun knew very well the twists and turns in the process of buying songs from Lu Chen this time. Zhang Qiong tried to steal a chicken but ended up losing rice. The vice president was happy to see a joke, and he was not afraid of exposing his family's dirty linen. Since he knocked, he must knock hard enough, otherwise how could he get a good effect? Tang Xiaoqiao was so happy that her heart almost jumped out. She quickly bowed and said, "Thank you, Manager Song, I will work hard." She was still too tender. She didn't expect that the song she bought could be shared with corresponding rights and interests. Song Sun didn't take any risk and easily took back this part of the benefits. He just stuffed a sweet jujube in passing. Of course, from another point of view, without the support of the company, even if she got a good song, it would be very difficult for her to become famous. Now is not 10 or 20 years ago. Packaging and publicity is the key. Therefore, even if Tang Xiaoqiao knew that she had suffered a loss, she would not raise any objection. Song Sun nodded and then said to several subordinates, "Old Chen, you discuss with Xinghua. The arrangement and soundtrack of this song will be put over at Tianzhai workshop. It will be done according to high specifications, and the quality must be guaranteed. Old Wang, your department will quickly make a publicity plan for me according to the characteristics of Tang Xiaoqiao and the song." "And you are Tang Xiaoqiao's agent, aren't you?" Li Zhigao, who was named, was simply flattered and stammered, Yes, Manager Song." As a halfway agent, his sense of existence in EMI is too low. It's not easy for Song Sun to know that he is Tang Xiaoqiao's agent. He can't remember his name at all. Song Sun didn't care and said, "Come with Tang Xiaoqiao to my office to talk about something." Several department managers and directors looked at Li Zhigao with strange eyes. They couldn't say they were envious, but it was the kind of, "this guy stepped on dog shit" luck. They all knew Li Zhigao and knew that the other party was synonymous with failure among the company's agents. As a result, no one expected that a salted fish was about to turn over. Song Sun must have called the two over to renegotiate the contract, which means that the company wants to support Tang Xiaoqiao. No matter how bad an agent is, if he meets a rising star, it is entirely possible for him to rise with his chickens and dogs. Such examples are too common in the entertainment industry. Song Sun then told Wen Ziyuan, "Old Wen, you entertained teacher Lu Chen well. You did a good job this time. Excellent work should be rewarded, and Song Sun is never stingy with his public praise to his subordinates, even if his words may embarrass some people." "Thank you, Manager Song." When Ziyuan felt like Zhu Beiji had eaten ginseng fruit, and all the pores on his body were refreshed, he hurriedly said, "Don't worry. Of course he wants to hold up Lu Chen, a great god who can get him promoted and raise his salary. He doesn't need Song Sun to explain at all." After giving orders freely, Song Sun finally said to Lu Chen, Teacher Lu Chen, I'm really sorry. I still have work arrangements so I can't accompany you here. You are welcome to come to our company to give guidance at any time. As the vice president of EMI, Song Sun certainly has his own reservations. He very much hopes to have long-term cooperation with Lu Chen, but he will not be in a hurry to immediately offer conditions to Lu Chen. This will not only make others look down on him, but also give Lu Chen the opportunity to ask for a sky-high price. As for the specifics of the cooperation, they could discuss it later. Therefore, his words were beautiful, but that was all there was to it. Lu Chen said with a smile, "Manager Song, please go ahead." Song Sun left with a large team of people, and soon there were only 2 or 3 kittens left in the listening room. At this time, Zhang Qiong came over and said to Lu Chen, "Teacher Lu Chen, I want to talk to you about buying songs." Zhang Qiong's heart was filled with regret. But what she regretted was not that she missed Lu Chen's song, but that she gave Wen Ziyuan a chance to turn over, and made her niece resentful. It was a complete mistake. Therefore, Zhang Qiong wanted to make up for her mistakes. She decisively started with Lu Chen. As long as she could invite a good song from Lu Chen, Zhang Shuhui would no longer blame her, and she could also reverse the adverse impact and not become a laughingstock in the company. She even hoped that the song Lu Chen sold to her would be better and stronger than this song, So Proud. Zhang Qiong's brain turned fast, and the look on her face restored her confidence. However, Lu Chen did not show interest or happy expression as she thought. He turned his head and asked Wen Ziyuan doubtfully, "This is?" Previously, Wen Ziyuan didn't introduce Zhang Qiong and Lu Chen to Lu Chen. How could he know who they were? However, Wen Ziyuan's drastic change in face was seen by Lu Chen. Seeing that Zhang Qiong actually ran over and wanted to intercept, Wen Ziyuan was almost fuming with anger. Lu Chen's inquiry made his mood turn around in an instant. The director of the brokerage department replied with a smile, "This is Ms. Zhang Qiong, my agent." Oh, Lu Chen showed that he understood. He said to Zhang Qiong, "Ms. Zhang Qiong, if you want to buy songs, please discuss it with Director Wen first. At present our studio is in business contact with Director Wen. Please forgive us." Lu Chen was not a fool. How could he not see that Zhang Qiong and Wen Ziyuan didn't get along? As Wen Ziyuan's agent, she ignored her boss and went directly to him. It was very unruly. This woman was obviously very arrogant. Although she spoke politely, she couldn't hide her habit of bossing people around. Lu Chen didn't like her and he didn't want to deal with her. Therefore he gave Zhang Qiong a soft nail. By the way, he also gave Wen Ziyuan a big face. Zhang Qiong was suddenly stunned. She didn't expect that Lu Chen didn't give her face and didn't want to discuss with her at all. Wen Ziyuan almost laughed out loud. Seeing Zhang Qiong repeatedly being defeated, he felt comfortable all over. He hurriedly said to Lu Chen, "Teacher Lu Chen, come to my office. I have something else to talk to you about." The director of the brokerage department of EMI was simply grateful to Lu Chen. The latter not only pulled him back from the edge of the cliff, but also gave him a valuable opportunity. As long as he firmly grasps Lu Chen, Wen Ziyuan's position in the company will be as stable as Mount Tai. So what if Zhang Qiong has someone behind her? Chief Song is watching. Good. Lu Chen promised and left the listening room with Wen Ziyuan, talking and laughing, leaving behind Zhang Qiong with a face of shame and disappointment and Zhang Shuhui. Chapter 148. Leaving the Delong building, Lu Chen and Lu Shi took a taxi back to the studio. Lu Shi asked curiously, "What's the matter with that director Wen? Why is he so polite to you?" She and Lu Chen came to EMI together to sign the contract. After signing it, they waited in the reception room and didn't go to the listening room, so they didn't know what happened later. Just now when Wen Ziyuan sent the two out, he was simply very polite. It could even be said to have reached the point of flattery. This made Lu Shi feel very strange. The change in attitude of the head of the brokerage department of EMI was too big. Lu Chen chuckled and briefly explained the grievances between Wen Ziyuan and Zhang Qiong. This was what Wen Ziyuan himself told Lu Chen. After listening, Lu Shi suddenly realized, it turns out to be like this. Others say that the workplace is dangerous, it's really, she couldn't help shaking her head. Lu Chen has always been unwilling to sign a contract with other big companies, and even declined the personal invitation of the music director of Flying Stone Records. At that time she more or less didn't understand. Now that she thought about it, Lu Chen's choice was really right. EMI definitely can't be compared with Flying Stone Records, and the internal intrigue is also so fierce. If she and Lu Chen entered Flying Stone Records, she didn't know what kind of situation they would face. Lu Shi has a strong personality and doesn't like to fight with others. Although Lu Chen's own studio is weak, there is no such problem at all. The premise is that he can make so much money. Drop, drop. All of a sudden, Lu Shi's cell phone in her small bag rang twice. She took it out and looked at it and immediately showed a happy smile. The money from EMI has arrived. So fast? Lu Chen was also surprised. He and Lu Shi just went out and the money caught up with them. Isn't the efficiency too high? The originally signed contract stipulated that the payment should be completed within 3 days. Lu Shi said with a smile, it seems that they attach great importance to you. If they don't attach importance to it, it's impossible for the finance of EMI to allocate the money to the account so quickly. The higher-ups must have spoken. Lu Chen smiled. If they want more songs in the future, we'll have to raise the price again. His insistence on the high-priced boutique strategy from the beginning was undoubtedly the right one. Customers like EMI, as long as they taste the sweetness and then slowly increase the price later, they can bear it like boiling a frog in warm water. If the price was low at the beginning, it would not be good to raise it too high all of a sudden. It would easily ruin his reputation. Lu Shi was speechless. She realized that she couldn't see through her brother anymore. Beep, beep. His phone rang again. Lu Shi took a closer look and smiled again. She smiled even more happily. Lu Chen was stunned. What? Lu Shi waved her phone and said proudly, the bonus from Beijing Television has arrived, 4 million yuan. Lu Chen won the championship of Singing China. Although he gave up 4 million yuan of so-called New Star Training Fund, the total cash reward was still as high as 4 million yuan and it was after tax. However, the money was not immediately received at that time, and the satellite TV also needed to go through the procedures. Now that it has arrived, it's just double happiness. Lu Chen was even happier and said without hesitation, then transfer 1 million yuan to mom first and let's go buy a car. He shouted to the taxi driver in front of him, Sir, please take us to Jingguan Auto City. Lu Shi didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Is there a need to be in such a hurry? It's no problem to send money to his mother, but it's too much of a rush to buy a car now. Lu Chen said with a smile, it's all the same to buy it sooner or later. It's just right to buy it now. Since the establishment of the studio, several staff members have been recruited, and the daily work has gradually become busy. It's really inconvenient to have no car to travel, and it also delays time. Time is money. He has long wanted to buy a car, and was waiting for the bonus from Beijing Television to arrive. Since Lu Chen has made up his mind, Lu Shi has no objection. After all, the studio relies on him to make money, and now that he has made so much money, buying a car is not a big deal. Lu Shi thought for a moment and said, then I will call Li Feiyu. He used to work in the 4S store and he must know the business. Lu Chen nodded, okay. When they arrived at Jingguan Auto City, Li Feiyu was already waiting at the gate. The 4S store where he used to work was in Auto City, and he is absolutely familiar with the road. There is no reason for him to be cheated. Seeing Lu Chen and Lu Shi, Peter Pan ran over with a smile and asked eagerly, De Chen, you are finally going to buy a car. I have been looking forward to this day. Have you thought about what car to buy? He is Lu Chen's assistant, and the car must be bought by him. Lu Chen said, we don't need to buy a good car, not a luxury car, just an economical one. As for the price, he thought for a moment and said, about 200,000 yuan. Let me have a look. 200,000 yuan? Li Feiyu scratched his head and said, at this price, then choose a domestic compact SUV, a gasoline-electric hybrid. The state subsidies are very high. Not only is it fuel efficient, but the configuration is equivalent to an imported car of 400,000 yuan. Lu Chen said with a smile, you are the expert. I will listen to you. He got a driver's license when he was 18 years old and drove his family's car. He liked cars but he didn't know much about them. His career has just started, so there is no need to buy a good car, but it can't be too bad. A high-quality domestic car should be a good choice. Lu Shi said, then you go ahead and choose first. I'll go to the bank and finish the transfer. So they parted ways. Lu Chen followed Li Feiyu to wander around Car City to choose a car, and looked at several shops in a row. Finally, they came to the 4S store of Zhonghua Automobile. A white SUV placed in front of the door immediately attracted Lu Chen's attention. The shape of this car is very good. The appearance is atmospheric and exquisite. The split front face and arc headlights are perfectly integrated, giving people a feeling of power. Li Feiyu recognized it at a glance. Zhonghua X7? This new car has already been on the market. As soon as the two stood in front of the new car, a salesperson from the 4S store immediately came to introduce it to them enthusiastically. This Zhonghua X7 is a new urban SUV that has just been launched by Zhonghua Automobile. It is an environmentally friendly gasoline-electric hybrid. It combines a number of the latest technologies and has quite high technical content. In addition to the efficient and fuel-efficient power system, its configuration is also very good. It has front and rear radars, intelligent cruise, onboard computer, panoramic skylight, leather seats and so on, and the interior space is spacious enough. The biggest feature of gasoline-electric hybrid is fuel saving. The fuel consumption of 100 kilometers is very low. Of course, there is a gap between the power performance and traditional power, but Luchin does not race or go off-road. It is enough to run in the city. The most important thing is that the safety configuration of this car is in place. The frame is strong and material, and it is equipped with 6 airbags. If Lushi drives it, he can rest assured. In addition, among domestic cars, Zhonghua is a well-known brand, and its quality has always been reliable. As for the price, it is 190,000 to 290,000 according to the configuration. For this new car, Li Feiyu was full of praise, and Luchin was also very satisfied, so he asked the salesperson to arrange a test drive and drove Zhonghua X7 around Car City. When he drove back to the 4S store, Lushi also came over. Her sister has no requirements for the car as long as Luchin likes it. She and Li Feiyu bargained the price together. Luchin finally decided to buy a comfortable configuration. After subsidies, the price of the naked car was 245,000. In the end, the price of the car was not reduced, but the 4S store added about 20,000 worth of interior and service and small gifts. The price of the whole car plus insurance and purchase tax and other expenses was 263,000. After paying by card on the spot, they applied for insurance and temporary license plates, and directly took out the new car from the 4S store. In the middle of the time, the three also had a late lunch together. The color of the car was white. Lushi was very satisfied except that she was a little worried that it would get dirty easily. The three of them went back together and drove this new car. The driver was Li Feiyu. Luchin saw that he liked this car very much, so he generously gave up the right to drive. Li Feiyu drove the new car on the overpass in high spirits and said, "Dechin, now that you have a studio and a car, you can consider buying a house in Beijing. How can a big star live in the office?" Luchin gave up his original single apartment to his sister, and he has been living in the studio. He was going to find another small apartment near the park. As for buying a house by himself, Luchin said with a wry smile, "I really can't afford a house in Beijing now. Let's talk about it in a few years." His first consideration was to pay off all his family's debts. Buying a house was really a long time in the future. Although Luchin is making a lot of money now, according to his own estimation, if there is no accident, it will take at least next year to pay off his family's debts. However, compared with the despair that could not be paid off in a lifetime before, now it is already a great happiness. As for buying a house, the house in Beijing is the highest in the country, and the average price is almost breaking through the sky. He has just earned more than 1 million yuan. Even if he doesn't use all of it to buy a house, he can choose a new house in a good location. It is far from enough for the down payment. It is said that the biggest dream of many 3rd or 4th tier star artists is to save enough money to buy a suite in Beijing's 5th Ring Road. The income of 3rd or 4th tier artists is not too bad, but the usual expenses are also high. Buying a house is really a luxury. Li Feiyu sighed, "Yes, the house is too expensive. I have to go home sooner or later." Luchin said with a smile, "Are you going back with Xiaomei's sister?" Li Feiyu smiled. Since Chen Xiaomei started working in the studio, Li Feiyu's pursuit seemed to have some results. They talked and laughed all the way and they were about to arrive at the park. At this time Lu Chen's phone rang. It was Chen Jianhao who called. He asked Lu Chen to go to a tea house in the university town. So Lu Chen asked Li Feiyu to drive to the studio first, and then drove to the place Chen Jianhao said. When they found the place, it was already 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Chapter 149. Lu Chen had never thought that there would be such a private tea house hidden in the shade of trees in the bustling downtown area near the university town. He couldn't find the location even with the GPS of his new car. In the end, he called Chen Jianhao and finally found the right place with the latter's guidance, so he spent a lot of time on the road. This tea house was located in the depths of a secluded alley. It was a large courtyard house with a long history. Behind the courtyard house was the lakeside park, surrounded by towering trees and lush greenery. The old walls were covered with green vines and dotted with wildflowers. It was a quiet and elegant scene. Such a courtyard house was estimated to be worth hundreds of millions of yuan in the capital, but it was actually used to open a tea house. The building inside the tea house had obviously been renovated and was decorated in an antique style. Entering the tea house, the sound of the stringed instrument could wash away people's worries. Under the guidance of the waiter, Lu Qin came to a private room. There were already 4 guests in the private room, and Qin Jinhao was one of them. The other 3 were old men in their 60s or 70s. They were wearing long gowns and cloth shoes and were sitting opposite each other, drinking tea and chatting. Compared with these elegant old men, Qin Jinhao was undoubtedly a junior, so he was very respectful. Seeing Lu Qin come in, he immediately got up and said, "Xiao Lu is here. Let me introduce you to some seniors." The 3 old men turned their heads and looked at Lu Qin. Lu Qin was stunned. Because he knew one of the old men, the one he often met when he was exercising in the riverside park. "Brother Kenho," Lu Qin first greeted Qin Jinhao, then said with a smile, "Hello, old man, long time no see." The old man was also surprised to see Lu Qin, then snorted and said, "What a coincidence." He seemed to still be holding a grudge against Lu Qin. Qin Jinhao was surprised. "Xiao Lu, do you know Professor Qin? This old man is actually a professor?" Lu Qin nodded. "I know him, but I didn't know the old man's name before." Relieved, Qin Jinhao smiled. "Then I'll give you an official introduction. This old man, who Lu Qin had met many times in the past, was Qin Pu, a retired Peking University Chinese literature professor. Sitting on the left of Professor Zhang was an old man in a green shirt, Gao Yu. He was a professor at the Beijing Conservatory of Music's composition department and was about to retire. And the old man with a big white beard on the right is actually the famous director Zhang Wentian. Lu Qin was very unfamiliar with the 2 professors, Qin Pu and Gao Yu. He had never heard of their names before. But the name of director Zhang Wentian is like thunder in the ears. He once directed 2 big dramas, Romance of the 3 Kingdoms and Water Margin in the 1990s, which created a record of TV ratings at that time. He has also directed many costume blockbusters. He is good at historical and military-themed films and has won many awards. He is a highly respected senior in the industry, but in recent years he has been quiet, and there have been no new works. Many young people may not know much about Zhang Wentian, but Lu Qin is definitely not one of them. He has watched Romance of the 3 Kingdoms and Water Margin more than once at home. So now seeing Zhang Wentian, he really feels like seeing his idol. Of course, whether it is to Zhang Wentian, Qin Pu or Gao Yu, Lu Qin is very respectful and polite. The 2 seniors still have a good impression of Lu Qin's respectful attitude. Qin Pu said to Zhang Wentian, "This kid is the one I took a picture of that day and showed you, the one who blindly practiced boxing." Zhang Wentian suddenly said, "I remember this young man practices Wing Chun, but the routine is a bit wrong." He smiled at Lu Qin and said, "Few young people nowadays like Chinese martial arts. They all practice boxing and taekwondo introduced from abroad. If you like to learn martial arts, I can introduce you to a master. Boxing and taekwondo are both Olympic events. They are very competitive, so they have a great influence around the world. In particular, taekwondo is very popular for a time. Many parents in China send their children to learn it to strengthen their body and sharpen their will, leading to the blossoming of taekwondo dojo in various cities. In contrast, traditional Chinese martial arts routines are serious, biased towards ornamental and artistic, and not many people learn it. Sanda, which is derived from martial arts, focuses on competition and actual combat, but the moves are too fierce and fierce. Like freestyle and Muay Thai, it is not popular with ordinary people. The boxing technique that Lu Qin practices comes from Mo Rant's memory. The development of inheritance is different from that of this world, and it is not practiced blindly. But Zhang Wentian is completely kind, so he thanked him. "Thank you, Director Zhang." Qin Jinhao didn't know that Lu Qin also knows martial arts, and he was a little surprised when he heard it. But he didn't forget the business. He interjected to Gao Yu and said, "Uncle Gao, Xiao Lu wants to go to Jingyin to attend a lecture. Please help him." Gao Yu said with a smile, "Since Jinhao has spoken, it's not good for me as an uncle not to agree." He took out a business card and a pen, and quickly wrote a few lines of small words and signature in the blank space on the back of the business card. After writing, Gao Yu handed the business card to Lu Qin and said, "Take it and contact Director Lu in the Academic Affairs office. Director Lu's phone number is on it. He will handle it for you." Lu Qin didn't expect things to be solved so easily. He quickly said, "Thank you, Professor Gao." The more he learned about music, the more he felt his own shortcomings. Therefore, Lu Qin has long had the idea of studying in a higher education institution. Of course, he doesn't have the qualifications to apply for the examination. Attending classes has become the best choice, and his actions and time are very free. It's just that it's not so easy to get a pass from key universities like Jingyin and Beiying, so Lu Qin asked Qin Jinhao for help and asked if anyone he knew could get this pass. As a result, Qin Jinhao introduced him to 2 professors and a director. This favor was really not small. Gao Yu smiled gently, "You don't have to be so polite. You are very talented in composition and write songs well." As a professor of the composition department of Jingyin, Gao Yu has no prejudice against pop music. When Qin Jinhao mentioned this to him before, he asked about Lu Chen's origin and listened to several of Lu Chen's works, and appreciated the latter's talent. Such a young man was not confused by the vanity of the entertainment industry, and still wanted to learn to enrich himself, which was worth encouraging. Otherwise, Gao Yu may not be willing to help so readily. After all, he has to bear the responsibility for handling a pass for Lu Qin. Zhang Wendian was surprised. "Does Xiao Lu make music?" Gao Yu replied, "Yes, have you heard of In the Spring? This song was written by him." In the Spring? Zhang Wendian was even more surprised. Was this song written by Xiao Lu? Although the older director doesn't pay much attention to the entertainment industry, nor does he like current pop music, he has really heard the song In the Spring more than once. Because his youngest son likes this song very much and often plays and sings it by himself at home with his guitar in his arms. Zhang Wendian didn't expect that this extremely vicissitudes of work was actually created by the young man in front of him. Gao Yu said with a smile, "I didn't expect it either, but this work was indeed written by Xiao Lu." Zhang Wendian sighed. It's true that the waves ahead push the waves behind, and the new generation surpasses the old. Although he was surprised, he didn't question Lu Chen's idea at all, because there was no need for that at all. Chen Pu suddenly said, "Old Zhang, aren't you having a headache about the theme song of the movie? Let him give you some advice." Zhang Wendian was caught off guard. Gao Yu agreed, "Yes, brainstorming. We're all old. We should listen to the voices of young people more." Zhang Wendian couldn't help laughing. It's as if everyone has become an antique. "Well, let's listen to it." He said to Lu Qin, "Xiao Lu, here's the thing." At first Lu Qin was a little puzzled, but he soon understood. It turned out that Zhang Wendian was recently preparing to make a big movie, which was about the tragic story of the Opium War in the late Qing dynasty, when the Qing court was corrupt and the foreign powers invaded, and the righteous people rose up to resist, which awakened the national spirit. The screenplay has been written, and it is currently in the stage of preparation for filming. However, Zhang Wendian encountered a problem in the selection of the theme song of the movie. He was not satisfied with the choice of more than a dozen songs, which did not meet his requirements. Most directors add the soundtrack in the later stage after the shooting. Zhang Wendian's habits are different. He attaches great importance to the soundtrack. In the early stage he must determine the style and tone of the soundtrack, which also includes the theme song. In the opinion of this great director, the theme song of a movie is the best representative of the connotation and idea of the movie. A good theme song can greatly enhance the charm of the movie, which is as important as the script. The problem is that his requirements are very high, and as a result, the theme song has been delayed. Although it is said that finding songs and shooting can be carried out at the same time, Zhang Wendian has always been thinking about it. Today he had tea with his 2 old friends, Chen Pu and Gao Yu, and asked them to help give some advice. The 2 professors, one writing lyrics and the other composing music, have cooperated on works before, and maybe they can solve the problem. Chen Pu and Gao Yu are happy to help, but neither of them is very sure that they can write a work that meets Zhang Wendian's mind. What they talked about just now was the theme song. Qin Jinhao happened to be here at the right time. Because of his relationship with Gao Yu, he occupied a place here. As for Lu Qin, who has just come over, he was even more lucky. Under normal circumstances, it is difficult for him to see Zhang Wendian. How can he sit down and communicate with the latter? Zhang Wendian said that, but it was more to pour out the depression in his heart. He didn't expect Lu Qin to provide any useful advice at all. What he didn't expect was that Lu Qin pondered for a moment after listening and said, "Director Zhang, I have a work that may meet your requirements." What? Zhang Wendian wondered if he had heard wrong. Not only him but Chen Pu and Gao Yu also showed a look of surprise. Newborn calves are not afraid of tigers. Chapter 150. He's too impatient. When Qin Jinhao heard Lu Qin say that there was a work that met Zhang Wendian's requirements, he screamed in his heart. Lu Qin obviously lost his composure in front of this great director and was too eager to show himself. A professor in the composition department of Beijing Conservatory of Music and a professor in the Chinese department of Peking University, 2 mentor-level figures working together, were not sure that they could come up with a work that could satisfy Zhang Wendian. Lu Qin actually dared to boast here. Qin Jinhao blushed a little. Qin Jianhao called Lu Qin over today mainly for the sake of the permit. He and Gao Yu are distant relatives, so he calls the other party uncle. Their relationship is not very deep. It's not a big problem to help with the permit. Zhang Wentian's presence was completely coincidental. Lu Qin can get familiar with this great director, which is very good for him to gain a foothold in the entertainment industry, and even to enter the film and television industry in the future. But Qin Jianhao never dreamed that Lu Qin would be so eager for quick success and instant benefits. Of course, he thinks that he can understand Lu Qin's mind. In the pan-entertainment industry, the status and position of an artist are closely related to their profession. Generally speaking, movie actors have the highest prestige. If they can become a movie king or movie queen with enough gold, they will be a well-deserved big shot in the circle and be respected by everyone. Although singers may have more popularity than many actors, they are really worse in terms of prestige. Therefore, after many singers became famous, they desperately drilled into the film and television circle and became the so-called triple perch star. Like those new generation of idols after their debut, they like to shoot TV dramas the most. No matter how melodramatic the plot is, they will also play it with relish. For a supporting role that appears in a few episodes, they can turn the world upside down. It's unknown how much gossip has been created. Therefore, no newcomer can maintain a normal mentality in front of Zhang Wentian. If you can get the favor of this great director, even if you show your face in his blockbuster, it's worth hype. It's just that understanding is one thing. Qin Jianhao still feels disappointed. Gao Yu's favorable impression of Lu Qin also fell from 3 points to 1 point in an instant. Saying that Lu Qin was a newborn calf that was not afraid of tigers was just being polite. Saying that he did not know the immensity of heaven and earth was the correct way to put it. Zhang Wentian was, after all, an experienced man. After the surprise, he quickly looked indifferent, nodded and picked up the teacup. Actually, he did not think much of it. He didn't ask about Lu Qin's work and clearly expressed his attitude. Qin Pu revealed a faint smile and said, "Really? Then why don't you sing it for us old fellows?" He was the only one who was willing to give Lu Qin a chance, even if his tone was full of ridicule. Lu Qin knew very well that his words had aroused the disgust of the seniors. But since he dared to say it, he naturally had the confidence. After some thought, Lu Qin picked up the sterilized chopsticks on the tea table and took out a pair of bamboo chopsticks from the paper sleeve. He pinched the tip of the chopsticks with the thumb and index finger of his right hand, and said in a neither servile nor overbearing manner, "This junior will show my incompetence." As soon as his voice fell, the chopsticks hit the table at the same time. He used the chopsticks as a hammer and the table as a drum, and the sonorous sound of the prelude was beaten, accompanied by the rhythm of singing and roaring. Pride confronts 10,000 waves, hot blood is like the red sun. Courage is made of iron, bones are like fine steel, mind is thousands of zhang, vision is 10,000 li long, I will work hard to be strong, be a good man. Lu Qin had only sung a few words, and the expressions of the two professors and Zhang Wentian changed. Qin Pu was stunned. Gao Yu was surprised. And director Zhang suddenly opened his eyes wide. He stared at Lu Qin as if he had found some treasure. Zhang Wentian is a very stubborn person, stubborn to the extent of paranoia. He has very strict requirements for his career. Whether it is shooting TV series or movies, he has never been sloppy. If he can do 10% of the work, he will never only spend 90% of his strength to complete it. In 1991, Zhang Wentian started shooting Art of the Three Kingdoms, which was not finished until 1994. The crew of hundreds of people traveled across most of China for 3 years, collecting countless scenes and setting innumerable scenes. The costumes, props, and buildings involved in the film were all strictly in accordance with historical facts, leading to a big overrun in the final budget, which made the investors overwrought and almost declared the project unfinished. But at the end of the shooting, it was broadcasted in the primetime program of Central TV, creating a ratings record of 89.35%. Although at that time the major satellite TV stations had not yet released a shadow, it was still a miracle. Shooting a TV series is like this, not to mention shooting a movie. Zhang Wentian's seriousness and persistence often make the investors want to cry but have no tears. After 2000, several movies he made lost money because of this and gradually became silent. However, a skinny camel is still bigger than a horse. In the film and television circle, Zhang Wentian is still a big shot. This time, after 10 years of dormancy, he is also full of ambition, and wants to be popular in both word of mouth and box office. The stubborn side of this great director was once again exposed. When the script has long been completed and the crew and actors are all in place, he has not started shooting because the theme song has not been chosen, which really makes people speechless. But Zhang Wenyan himself doesn't think so. What he wants is a feeling. When the feeling is in place, the shooting will naturally be as smooth as moving clouds and flowing water. Otherwise it will seem like a lack of soul and can't shoot what he really wants. The theme song is the soul of this movie. Zhang Wenyan personally found 4 or 5 songwriters to write the theme song for the movie. In all fairness, the quality of these works is good, but none of them can satisfy Zhang Wenyan. In desperation he found 2 old friends hoping to gain something. As a result, what Zhang Wenyan didn't expect was that a newcomer in the circle who happened to meet him actually said that his work was suitable, and even dared to sing it on the spot. At the beginning, director Zhang really took the idea of watching a joke, thinking that Lu Chen was here to amuse and relieve boredom. However, he was shocked. Lu Chen's accompaniment with chopsticks was almost child's play. He lowered his voice and didn't sing loudly, but as soon as he opened his voice, the majestic atmosphere and hot-blooded atmosphere contained in the lyrics and melody hit him in the face, instantly shocking his soul. Different from Qin Pu and Gao Yu, the 2 professors were just simply surprised, and didn't say how excited or anything else. Zhang Wenyan was really shocked. What he has been searching for is precisely this feeling, which is exactly the charm contained in this song. Bang! The next moment, Zhang Wenyan slammed the table and stood up, his eyes wide open. Stop! His slap was very hard. If it weren't for the exquisite workmanship of the tea table in the private room and the weight was extremely heavy, the tea bowls placed on it would have been knocked over. Lu Chen was startled and immediately stopped roaring. That's right, this song needs to be roared out with breath, otherwise it can't be sung at all. No, no. Zhang Wenyan bowed his head thoughtfully and walked back and forth a few steps as if trying to find something. Qin Pu and Gao Yu looked at each other, not knowing what was wrong with the great director. Lu Chen's work sounded very interesting at the beginning, but it wasn't enough to make him lose his composure like this, right? Gao Yu asked with a smile. Young man, did you use the tone of general's order in this song? The professor of Jingyin composition department had a little guilty in his heart. Just now he thought that Lu Chen was trying to impress the public and wanted to be in the limelight. Only now did he know that the latter was really talented. Lu Chen quickly replied, Yes, Professor Gao. Gao Yu asked again, What's the name of the song? A man should strengthen himself. In Lu Chen's dream world, this song can be called a classic movie theme song. Its influence is so great that it overwhelmed all works of the same type. It was created by a character who can be regarded as a master. In his memory, the one who likes this song the most is not Su Bo, nor Mo Ran but Fang Mingyi. A man should strengthen himself. Gao Yu repeated it and praised, Good name, good song. Qin Pu also nodded, The lyrics are better. At first glance, the lyrics of this song sound very rough, full of the atmosphere of Jianghu. However, with the accompaniment of the melody of the tune, it has been greatly sublimated, making people's blood boil and full of chivalry. It's all good. At this time, Zhang Wenyan finally came back to his senses. He said loudly, The only bad thing is the accompaniment. This song should be played with a big drum to have the real flavor. The great director stared at Lu Chen with eager eyes. You sing it again, sing it completely and accompany it with a drum. Hitting it with chopsticks is simply an insult to this work. Lu Chen was powerless to complain. This is a quiet and elegant tea house. Where can there be a big drum instrument? But he really underestimated this tea house called Yumming Tea Garden. Qin Jinhao called the waiter and said the request to borrow the drum. The latter did not show the slightest surprise or embarrassment, and quickly took the order and left. After instructing the waiter, Qin Jinhao looked at Lu Chen with a very strange look in his eyes. You hit it deep enough. As the saying goes, if you don't make a sound, you will amaze the world with a single brilliant feat. This is probably the case. Lu Chen noticed Qin Jinhao's gaze and could only smile bitterly. He didn't expect to play so big. Just now, it was entirely because he had heard the movie script described by Zhang Wenyan. The song, A Man Should Strengthen Himself, appeared in his memory, and he didn't think too much about it. This song is very suitable for the plot, and director Zhang Wenyan's masterpiece will not disgrace the classic. Unexpectedly, Zhang Wenyan's reaction was so intense. Of course, at this point Lu Chen is also calm. He doesn't expect to get a role in Zhang Wenyan's movie with a song. As long as he establishes a friendly cooperative relationship with this great director, it will already be a great benefit. Tian, that's right. Moreover, composing a movie theme song can greatly enhance the pretentiousness. The pretentiousness in the circle represents the status and value. The higher Lu Chen's pretentiousness is, the more valuable his works will be. Such a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, he will never miss it. After about 10 minutes, 2 waiters came to the private room with a drum. Along with them was a beautiful woman in a Han costume. Chapter 151. The woman in Han costume was in her 20s. She was wearing an ivory white embroidered button-down jacket, a milky white satin embroidered lily skirt that dragged the floor, 2 bunches of black and smooth hair hung straight to the waist, and her hair was tied up in a unique double bun. This was a very popular retro dress. A well-made women's Han costume was expensive, and it was not easy to wear a real ancient charm. Appearance, figure, and temperament were indispensable. But for this woman it was not a problem at all. She seemed to be a figure coming out of an ancient painting of a lady. Her skin was as white as snow, her face was as beautiful as jade, her eyebrows were elegant, her eyes were like stars, and her temperament was elegant and cold, which made people have the idea that they could only watch from a distance and not dare to play with her. When she stepped into the elegant room, the whole room seemed to add a touch of brightness. Huh? Seeing the woman in Han costume, Gao Yu asked in surprise, "Qing, why are you here?" The woman in Han costume bowed politely and said, "Hello, Professor Gao, Professor Qin, Director Zhang, and Uncle Chen." She greeted the 4 guests in one breath, and her pretty eyes finally fell on Lu Chen. There was a little curiosity and scrutiny. Qin Pu and Zhang Wenyan both nodded with a smile. Qin Jinhao exclaimed, "Qing is getting more and more beautiful. If you continue to be beautiful, I'm afraid that no one will be worthy of you in the future." Qing pursed her lips and said with a chuckle, "Uncle Qin only knows how to make people happy. It's not that exaggerated." Her voice was pleasant to the ear, like jade beads rolling on a gold plate. It made people feel very comfortable when they heard it and fell into their hearts. But her smile was like a flash in the pan, and immediately returned to its original elegance. Qin Jinhao said to Lu Qin, "Xiao Lu, this is Qing. She studies folk music in Jingyin. You can go to Jingyin to attend classes in the future. If you encounter anything you can ask her for help." Lu Qin got up and said, "Hello, I'm Lu Qin, Lu from the mainland and Qin from the morning." Qing nodded, "Hello." Her expression was light, and she had an indescribable temperament. After greeting them, Qing said to Gao Yu, "Professor Gao, I heard that you want a big drum here. There is only one drum in our tea garden. I don't know if it meets the requirements." Gao Yu smiled generously and said, "Yes, there is a song that needs accompaniment. The taiji drum is also fine." Taiji drum was a type of taiji drum. Taiji drum originated in China and was carried forward after it was introduced to Japan. In modern times it returned to China. It was mainly divided into taiji drum, heping drum, and xiao drum. Usually it was called taiji drum, zhong drum, and xiao drum. What the 2 attendants brought over was a dai tai drum. This type of drum had holes all around it and a red string wrapped around it. There was also a wooden stick perpendicular to the drum's surface. It was most suitable for men to play. Qing's eyes lit up and she asked, "Then can I listen in here?" Zhang Wendian said with a smile, "We can't wait for you to come. After listening to it, Xiaoqing, you can also give us some advice." Qing replied very seriously, "Okay." She sat down in the corner of the room where a zither was placed. Zhang Wendian couldn't wait to say to Lu Qin, "Xiao Lu, let's do it again." Lu Qin nodded and picked up the drumsticks. He had never played this kind of taiji drum before, but he had seen others play it and knew that the method was very particular. Fortunately, he only used drums to accompany it and didn't need much skill. Immediately, he held the drumsticks in both hands and hit the prelude. Even if it wasn't a Chinese drum, the sound of a real leather drum was not comparable to that of the chopsticks just now. The short prelude made people feel their blood boiling. Singing again, Lu Qin did not deliberately lower his voice. "Pride faces the waves of 10,000 waves, hot blood is like the red sun. Courage is like iron and bones are like fine steel, mind is thousands of zhang, vision is 10,000 li long, I will work hard to be a good man. Be a good man, be self-reliant every day, a hot-blooded man shines brighter than the sun." In Lu Qin's dream world, this classic theme song is inseparable from a series of martial arts movies. It can be said to be the pinnacle of the work. The lyrics are full of the hot-blooded spirit of a heroic man. It is adapted from an ancient song, General Ling. Both the melody and the lyrics are very imposing, revealing a kind of majesty of a monarch descending to the world, and the surging passion can shock every listener at once. The melody in the song is soul-stirring. To say that it is imposing, this qi, is not only the imposing manner of the song, but more importantly, it shows the national courage of the descendants of China and the awe-inspiring righteousness between heaven and earth. When these qi are combined, It gives birth to the most exciting and majestic soundtrack in Chinese movies at that time. Recalling the plot of the movie in his dream, Lu Chen's momentum suddenly rose, and his emotions were completely integrated into it. He sang with more power. Let the sea and the sky gather energy for me to open up the sky and the earth for my ideals. Look at the tall and strong blue waves, then look at the vast blue sky. I am a man, I should be self-reliant. Step forward and stick out your chest. Let everyone be a pillar and a good man. Use my 100 points of heat to shine 1,000 points of light. Be a good man, hot blood and intestines brighter than the sun. The elegant atmosphere in the tea room was instantly destroyed by Lu Chen's drumming and singing, but everyone present didn't feel that he was cooking cranes and burning the zither to spoil the scenery. Instead, they listened very carefully. Especially Zhang Wenyan, he was simply beaming with joy. He wanted to slap the table and applaud several times, but he held back. Qin Qing's slender hands pressed the strings of the zither, and her starry eyes flashed with a strange look. She came because of curiosity. When she first saw Lu Chen, the latter gave her the impression that he was handsome and polite. It's just that there have been too many excellent boys in front of Qin Qing. Lu Chen has nothing special, so naturally there was no special feeling to speak of. He was just an ordinary passerby. Until Lu Chen beat the drum and sang. At the beginning, she could see at a glance that Lu Chen didn't know how to play the daiji drum. He completely used the daiji drum as an ordinary leather drum, and his movements appeared clumsy and jerky. The song, "A Man Should Strengthen Himself," changed her impression in an instant. The rhythm of Lu Chen's drumming was extremely powerful, and his singing was full of a heroic spirit that didn't match his age and appearance. The sound was sonorous and deafening, and even a girl like her felt her blood surging. He was so focused as if everything around him didn't exist, and all his mind was immersed in the song. It was this incomparably serious attitude that inadvertently touched Qin Qing's heartstrings. She had a little more favorable impression of him. Warm blood and intestines brighter than the sun. The drumming stopped abruptly and the singing stopped abruptly. The lingering sound lingered, but it was not finished. Good. Zhang Wenyan was the first to clap his hands and applaud. He looked overjoyed. That's it. Among all the people present, he was the most chivalrous. Otherwise, he would not have chosen such a script as his debut blockbuster. Therefore, he was the easiest to be moved by the song, "A Man Should Strengthen Himself." In fact, when Lu Chen began to sing again, the great director had already decided to use this theme song. Based on this, the tone of the soundtrack of the whole film can be determined. He no longer had any mental barriers and he could let go. Therefore, Zhang Wenyan was very grateful to Lu Chen for bringing him a wonderful work. Gao Yu and Chen Pu also applauded. The latter smiled and said, "Old Zhang, you finally got what you wanted. Good song, good music." Gao Yu sighed, "We're really old." This song, "A Man Should Strengthen Himself," whether it was the tune or the lyrics, is perfect for Zhang Wenyan's upcoming movie. There's basically nothing to be picky about. At most, he needs to work harder on the arrangement and accompaniment. Or find someone else to sing again. Lu Chen is still too young. Even if it's his work, it doesn't mean that he can sing the best. Of course, this doesn't affect Gao Yu's appreciation of Lu Chen, which is purely out of professional considerations. Chen Jinhao directly gave Lu Chen a thumbs up. He thought he knew enough about Lu Chen, but now he found that his previous understanding was too superficial. Lu Chen is like an inexhaustible treasure, always bringing people surprises. The style of this song, "A Man Should Strengthen Himself," is completely different from his previous works. It is vigorous and has the atmosphere of a grandmaster, and its strength can only be described as unfathomable. Qin Qing was surprised. Listening to what they said, it seems that this song is Lu Chen's original work? That's too surprising. Lu Chen, holding the drumsticks in his hand, bowed with a smile and said, "Thank you." In the face of appreciation and honor, Lu Chen has never been complacent and proud, because he knows the source of his glory. And it is precisely this modesty that makes the two professors and Zhang Wenyan particularly favorable impression. Zhang Wenyan said, "Lu Chen, I want this song. Which company did you sign with?" There are rules in the industry. If he wants to buy songs from Lu Chen, he must first negotiate with Lu Chen's signing company. Because according to the artist contract, the signing company owns full or priority copyright of the works created by Lu Chen. Unless he is a top big shot, it is impossible to be exceptional. Lu Chen's answer was beyond Zhang Wenyan's expectation. "Director Zhang, I opened a studio of my own. If you like this song, I can license it to the investors of the film for free." The theme song of a blockbuster with an investment of hundreds of millions of yuan has a great influence. Not to mention free licensing. Even if it costs money, Lu Qin is willing to do it. It would be best if Zhang Wenyan owes him a favor. If you want to make more money, you must take a long-term view. It is not wise to be greedy for small profits. Zhang Wenyan was stunned at first. He didn't expect that Lu Qin actually opened his own studio without relying on other companies. But he reacted quickly and said with a laugh, "I don't want it for free. I still have to pay the fees that should be paid." After a pause he asked, "The main actors in my movie have all been decided, but there are still a few supporting roles with few scenes. I wonder if you are interested in trying them?" Lu Qin was immediately overjoyed. "Thank you, Director Zhang, I'm very interested. If he misses such an opportunity, he will be struck by lightning." Note: Men should strengthen themselves. Lyrics and music. Huang Zhan, adapted from the ancient Song General's order. Chapter 152. Zhang Wenyan, who has been dormant for nearly 10 years, is still a famous director in China and even internationally. Therefore, the comeback of this great director will inevitably attract the attention of all parties. Even if there are several loss-making blockbusters as precedents, with his fame and connections, it will be easy to pull in enough investment. The big stars in the film and television industry in the circle, plus the stakeholders of the investors, are bound to want to compete for roles in this new film. Even if it's 3 or 4 supporting roles, they will fight until their heads are broken. It doesn't matter if the film loses money. Zhang Wenyan's works have always had a tradition of going to foreign exhibitions, and have won many awards. Who doesn't want to walk the red carpet at those highly anticipated film festivals? So, even if the pay is reduced, many people are willing to play it cool. As a newcomer who has just made his debut, an independent artist and a singer, Lu Qin is not qualified to participate in such a game. His influence and connections in the circle are still too small. If it weren't for today's chance to move this great director with an absolute classic, a man should strengthen himself. Even if he used his connections to ask for a small role, he might not be able to get it. And now, Zhang Wenyan took the initiative to offer Lu Qin a small supporting role, which was simply a pleasant surprise. Lu Qin has experienced 3 lives in the dream world. Among them, Mo Ran is a powerful actor. Unfortunately, his star luck is not good. He has always been a supporting role and has never been a big hit. This life belonging to Mo Ran has made Lu Qin have a different feeling for actors. He once made a vow in his heart to realize Mo Ran's long-cherished wish in his own world and become a real protagonist. But rice has to be eaten one bite at a time, and the road has to be walked step by step. It is easy to pull the egg if you run too fast. Lu Qin doesn't have a pain in the ass. Therefore, he took pop music as the beginning of his career, and waited until he had accumulated enough before developing into film and television. It was precisely because of such a good mentality that Lu Qin didn't think of taking the opportunity to ask Zhang Wenyan for a role just now. The script, crew and actors are all in place. Wouldn't it be embarrassing if he wanted to force it in? It would be too stupid to provoke Zhang Wenyan. Lu Qin is already satisfied with being able to set his work as the theme song of a movie. However, things in the world are so wonderful. He has no desire, and Zhang Wenyan has to return the favor in turn. Even if it's a small supporting role, Lu Qin was overjoyed and agreed without hesitation. Isn't it silly to play pretentious and reserved at this time? Lu Qin's joy and excitement made Zhang Wenyan smile. That's right. The great director nodded and said, "Let's talk about the script and performance contract when we transfer the copyright of the work. Your scenes will be filmed later, so you have enough time to learn some acting skills and perform well." The great director nodded and said, "Let's talk about the script and the performance contract when we transfer the copyright of the work. Your scenes will be filmed later, so you have enough time to learn some acting skills and perform well." When a singer becomes an actor, unless he has a professional background, his acting skills are a big problem. Although Lu Qin has very few scenes, he can't just rely on his face to make up the numbers. "No problem," Lu Qin said cheerfully, "I will work hard to learn." With Mo Ran's life memory, he has the ability to control the protagonist. A small supporting role is naturally easy. However, in front of Zhang Wenyan, Lu Qin can't show too much confidence. It's right to be modest. Zhang Wenyan nodded and said, "As for the arrangement of this song and the soundtrack of the movie," Zhang Wenyan nodded and said, "As for the arrangement of this song and the soundtrack of the movie," Lu Qin quickly said, "In terms of arrangement and soundtrack, this junior's ability is not enough." Are you kidding me? The soundtrack of a blockbuster movie is a big project. He is still very self-aware. This aspect is Lu Qin's biggest weakness, so he has to go to Jingyin to learn and accumulate knowledge. Zhang Wenyan said with a smile, "What I mean is that I can't give it to you, but as the creator of the theme song, I hope you can provide advice when necessary. I plan to let Professor Gao complete the arrangement and soundtrack. It's wishful thinking. Lu Qin suddenly blushed. He was thinking too much. He had to be calm down. At this time, Lu Qin caught a glimpse of Qin Qing next to him, who was pursing her lips and snickering. There was a bit of girlish cuteness. Lu Qin could only smile bitterly. The film's arrangement and soundtrack are very important, and Zhang Wenyan can't let him do it in any case. After all, his qualifications are too shallow and he has no experience. Zhang Wenyan gave Lu Qin a small supporting role, which had the intention of compensation. It was Lu Qin who provided the theme song. Gao Yu said with a smile, "It just so happens that Lu Qin is coming to Jingyin to attend lectures. It's also very convenient for us to communicate together." He was very considerate to resolve Lu Qin's little embarrassment. Lu Qin said gratefully, "Professor Gao, I want to learn a lot from you. Isn't this another opportunity for him?" Since Zhang Wenyan has handed over this work to Gao Yu, and the latter is a professor of the composition department of Beijing Conservatory of Music, his experience must be very rich. If he can get the other party's careful guidance, learning relevant knowledge will be twice the result with half the effort. Zhang Wenyan encouraged, "Lu Qin's work has given me confidence. Next year, I will take it to the Capital International Film Festival and compete for the Best Music Award." The Capital International Film Festival, Shanghai International Film Festival and Golden Peony Film Festival are the three major film festivals in China. Among them, the Capital International Film Festival was established in 2000, sponsored by the State Administration of Radio, Film and Television and the Beijing Municipal Government. It is an international, professional, innovative, open, high-end and market-oriented large-scale film-themed event, which enjoys a high reputation in the industry for its authority and professionalism. The Capital International Film Festival aims to integrate domestic and international film resources and build a platform for display, exchange and trading. Since 2010, it has been held annually and set up an award unit, including 10 awards including Best Film, Best Director, Best Actor, Best Actress, Best Supporting Actor, Best Supporting Actress, Best Screenplay, Best Cinematography, Best Music and Best Visual Effects. The Golden Tripod Award of the Capital International Film Festival is still of high value and has a certain influence internationally. Zhang Wenyan pointed his sword at the Golden Tripod Award, showing his strong confidence. He said that the Best Music Award was nothing more than an excuse. Best Film and Best Director were what he really wanted to pursue. At his level, it didn't matter whether he could win the award or not. What mattered was the spirit to rise up again. Zhang Wenyan said this, which was also a praise for Lu Qin. Qin Pu said disdainfully, "Next year? Can you finish shooting this film in a year and go to the exhibition?" Gao Yu laughed. Zhang Wenyan was speechless. He could only pick up his teacup and drink water to cover up his embarrassment. Qin Pu poked his Achilles heel, that is, he was too good at procrastinating and grinding. Other directors can finish shooting a film in half a year, but in order to improve it, he often dragged it to a year, which led to a big increase in the budget and killed several investors. Putting down the teacup, Zhang Wenyan said heroically, "I'll definitely finish shooting it within a year." The Capital International Film Festival was held in early December. Now it was the end of August. Even if it was shot within a year, if the time for post-production was added, it would be very tight to take it to the film festival. He must also complete it, otherwise it would be difficult to explain to the investors. According to the requirements of the investors, after participating in the Capital International Film Festival, it would be released during New Year's Day. Winning an important award would undoubtedly have a great boost to the box office. Now is not the 1980s and 1990s. Investors are very shrewd and always put the box office first. Qin Pu snorted with a look of disbelief. Gao Yu smoothed things over and changed the topic. He asked Qin Qing, "Qin Qing, are you going back to the college this afternoon?" Qin Qing nodded and asked, "Professor Gao, what's the matter?" "That's just right." Gao Yu pointed to Lu Qin and said, "Can you accompany Lu Qin to the Academic Affairs Office, look for Director Lu or Director Qin, and give Lu Qin an auditing certificate?" Although he had already written a note to Lu Qin with Qin Qing's help, Lu Qin could get the auditing certificate and the class schedule this afternoon, which could save a lot of trouble. Qin Qing was a little surprised, but she did not object. Okay. Her temperament was reserved, but since Professor Gao asked, she must help. It was not a very difficult thing. Lu Qin said with a smile, "Sorry to trouble junior sister Qin." In fact, he could handle it himself. There was no need to trouble Qin Qing, but it was not good to brush off Gao Yu's good intentions. Qin Qing smiled. she got up and said, "Then let's go. If we're late, the academic affairs office will get off work." "Wait," Chin-Poo cried, "Chin girl, play a song for us first before you go. I haven't heard you play the piano for a long time." As he spoke, he glared at Gao Yu, blaming him for spoiling the fun. Qin Qing sat down again and said in a big way, "Then I'll play a song for the elders." Zhang Wendian, Gao Yu, Chin-Poo and Qin Jinhao all smiled. Qin Qing's family background was extraordinary. Not only was she beautiful and outstanding, but she was also intelligent and intelligent. She had been learning the piano since she was a child, and her zither skills were outstanding. There were many guests who could come to Yumming Tea Garden, but there were really few who could listen to her play the piano. But when Qin Qing waved her 10 fingers and played the zither, the smile on everyone's face turned into a wry smile. Because what Qin Qing played was the ancient song General's Order. Compared with Lu Chen's adaptation, she played the original. In the first part, she used a large section of flicking fingers and left-handed playing techniques to show the scene of the sound of drums and horns. The melody was tense and mysterious. In the second part, the image of a wise and brave general was sketched through the exaggerated singing and sliding technique of her left hand. In the third part, she used the continuous acceleration of the fast 4-points technique to show the situation of the soldiers' rapid advance in formation. In the fourth part, she depicted the scene of the two armies confronting each other, fighting on the battlefield, the sound of horns and returning to the camp in victory. The 4 parts of the whole song were completed in one go, with an urgent rhythm and full of momentum, showing her exquisite skills. Zhang Wendian and others listened attentively. Lu Chen had a faint feeling that this junior sister seemed to be challenging him in this way. Of course, this may be his illusion. Chapter 153. At the entrance of Yumming Tea Garden. Qin Jinhao patted Lu Chen on the shoulder and said with a sigh, "I really can't see through you more and more." Lu Chen said with a wry smile, "Brother Kenho, in fact I am me. I haven't become another person." Qin Jinhao shook his head with a smile. He knew that Lu Chen was modest and polite on the outside, but in fact he was very proud in his heart. Even when Lu Chen was a waiter in Forget Worries Bar, his pride has always been hidden in his bones, and has never been obliterated by life. He has always been working hard and struggling silently. It wasn't until Lu Chen showed amazing talent that the pride that had long penetrated into his bones naturally emerged. But this pride was not superficial arrogance and rudeness, but strong self-confidence. It was also this self-confidence that made Lu Chen dare to show his work in front of Zhang Wendian. What Qin Jinhao couldn't see through was Lu Chen's background. It was too deep. In Qin Jinhao's opinion, this song, "A Man Should Strengthen Himself," was better than "In the Spring," "Chasing Dreams with a Childlike Heart," "You Who Sat Next to Me," and other Lu Chen's previous works. He thought about it and reminded seriously, "Xiao Lu, remember to keep the theme song you wrote for director Zhang's new film and the shooting a secret first. Don't take the initiative to publicize it yourself. Director Zhang doesn't like to shout to the whole world before things are settled, and he doesn't like others to use him for hype." A newcomer like Lu Chen, who had just made his debut, had a relationship with Zhang Wendian. As long as he was willing, even if it was a very small thing, he could stir up a basket of gossip news. Lu Chen was not a trivial matter. Fortunately, he was an independent artist. Otherwise, once the signing company found out, it would definitely hype him up. Qin Jinhao knew that the current entertainment industry was inseparable from hype, but he hoped that Lu Chen would not be greedy for the small profits in front of him, and take a long-term view. It was important to have a good relationship with Zhang Wendian. With the support of this great director, it would be much easier for Lu Chen to enter the film industry in the future. Lu Chen smiled and said, "I understand. Brother Kenho, don't worry." He knew that Qin Jinhao was truly looking out for him. Seeing that Lu Chen understood immediately, Qin Jinhao was pleased. "I can't tell you now, but I'll do whatever I want when the film is completed." According to the customs of the film and television industry, when the production of a film was completed or about to be completed, it was the beginning of large-scale publicity. At that time, there would be no problem for Lu Chen to ride on the momentum, and the investors might even be happy to see it happen. He suddenly changed the topic. "What do you think of Qin Qin?" Lu Chen was stunned and didn't know how to answer. "Boss, I don't know her at all." A smile appeared in Qin Jinhao's eyes as he half-jokingly said, "You don't have a girlfriend yet, right? If you don't plan to be a pure idol, then you should find one. Don't miss a good girl." Falling in love in the entertainment industry is a very complicated problem. If you want to take the idol route, then even if you want to fall in love, you must take the underground route. Otherwise, once exposed, it is very likely to lead to a sharp drop in popularity, and even be abandoned by the company. If the strength is better, fans will be more tolerant, especially male singers whose acceptance will be relatively higher. Lu Chen's appearance is more than enough to be an idol, but he obviously has no intention of buying a face. His identity as the champion of singing China makes it enough for him to mix well in the strength group. Therefore, although Qin Jianhao was joking, what he said was not wrong. Lu Chen smiled bitterly. I don't have any plans to find a girlfriend yet. It's very hard to fall in love seriously. He doesn't have that much time and energy right now. If he doesn't fall in love seriously and holds the idea of playing, well, his sister will beat him to death. Qin Jianhao said with a smile. What I want to say is that Qin Qing is really good. Since you are going to Jingyin to take classes, try to see if you can become friends with her. At your age, don't live like us. Cough. As soon as his voice fell, a soft cough suddenly came from behind the two. Qin Jianhao and Lu Chen couldn't help turning their heads and saw Qin Qing standing a few steps away. She looked indifferent and her eyes were cold. The Jingyin girl had just changed into a simple and elegant dress. She still had long hair and her temperament was more and more quiet. Even though Qin Jianhao's skin was extremely thick, he couldn't help but feel embarrassed. He laughed and quickly said, Qin Qing is here, then you go. After that, he directly left the soles of his feet and left Lu Chen alone to face this very special girl without any sense of loyalty. Qin Qing was not ashamed or annoyed, but there was a trace of indifference between her eyebrows that kept people 1,000 miles away. She said lightly, let's go. Lu Chen originally wanted to explain a few words, but when he saw the other party's expression, he didn't say much. Okay. Driving the car, Lu Chen drove Qin Qing to Beijing Conservatory of Music. Qin Qing was sitting in the passenger seat. On the way she suddenly said, Uncle Chen was just joking. Don't take it to heart. Lu Chen said with a smile, I know. Don't worry about it. He was not a fool. How could he not understand the meaning of the other party's words? Qin Qing was telling Lu Chen that there was no possibility between her and him, and not to have unnecessary ideas. The problem was that Lu Chen didn't have any ideas about her at all. This girl who played the zither very well was very beautiful. To be precise, Lu Chen had never seen a more beautiful girl than her, and her temperament was better than her appearance. It was not an exaggeration to say that she was a goddess. Qin Qing's family background should be very good. It could be seen from the attitude of the two professors and Zhang Wenyan towards her. She was either rich or noble and not an ordinary person. Such a girl must have countless suitors, reserved and arrogant. But what does this have to do with him? People from two different worlds may have intersected because of various coincidences, but in the end they are gradually drifting apart. Qin Qing said N. Lu Chen was a little speechless. Listening to her tone, it seemed that she didn't believe him. So he said bluntly, I don't plan to fall in love in the next few years. Don't worry. Qin Qing tilted her head and said, Are you angry? Or did you say that on purpose to arouse my interest? Lu Chen sighed and gently turned the steering wheel to park the car steadily on the side of the road. Qin Qing looked at him without the slightest change in her expression. Lu Chen looked straight into her eyes and said sincerely, Junior sister Qin Qing, first of all, I'm not angry. I don't want to attract you with these words. We've just met. You don't know me. I can understand. I'm going to Jingyin to attend lectures just to study. I'm very grateful that you accompany me to get the permit. If this makes you misunderstand, then I'm sorry. I'll send you to school first and I'll handle it myself. After listening, Qin Qing nodded and said, I believe you. Lu Chen didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Thank you. Qin Qing said, Since I promised Professor Gao, I must accompany you to the academic affairs office. Let's go. Lu Chen was speechless and went back on the road. He didn't notice the shallow smile on the corner of the girl's lips. After spending more than 10 minutes on the road without encountering traffic jams, the two arrived at Jingyin smoothly. Jingyin, or Beijing Conservatory of Music, is known as the three major conservatories, along with the Central Conservatory of Music and the Northern Conservatory of Music. It was founded in 1980 and has a history of 35 years so far. Although it is not as old as Zhongyin, it has also produced many talented people in the past few decades. Many famous composers, pianists and singers have emerged, and it has a respectable reputation both at home and around the world. This Conservatory of Music is located on the shore of Beihai, adjacent to the famous Beihai Park, and its geographical location is extremely superior. Jingyin is very small in area, and its scale is not even comparable to several middle schools in Beijing. The total number of teachers and students in the school is only more than 2,000, which is incomparable to schools with tens of thousands of students in University City. Lu Qin has never been to Jingyin before, but he has long been famous for this advanced music academy. It is said that there are tens of thousands of students who come to Beijing to apply for Jingyin every year. Most of them start training from an early age. Their attainments in such aspects as piano, violin, folk instruments and so on can crush guys like Lu Qin into slag with just a move of their fingers. However, most of these proud children will be ruthlessly eliminated in the process of applying for Jingyin. Many examinees' families can be described as going bankrupt to train them. After arriving in Beijing, they spend a lot of money to ask teachers in the college to guide them, only to be told that they have no hope of getting in at all. Therefore, those who can be admitted to Jingyin are not ordinary people. Genius is a synonym for ordinary people among them. Even if it's an audit, it's not easy to get an audit pass. The environment in Jingyin is very good. The campus is shaded by trees, several buildings are hidden in the woods, and there is a small lake with rippling blue waves in the middle. The breeze is blowing gently and the water is not rippling. Because school hasn't started yet, few students can be seen in Jingyin. Lu Qin didn't have a pass for Jingyin, but Qin Qing came forward and said a few words to the guard and was let in. Under her guidance, he drove directly to the bottom of the office building. After getting out of the car, Qin Qing took Lu Qin to the Academic Affairs office on the 3rd floor. There was someone in the office of the Academic Affairs office. Director Lu, whom Lu Qin was looking for, was not there. Fortunately, there was still Deputy Director Chen on duty. After explaining the purpose of his visit, he readily gave Lu Qin an audit pass. The audit pass is valid for 1 year and will be invalid after expiration. With the pass in hand, Lu Qin can freely enter and exit Jingyin and listen to any professor and mentor's lectures. He can also eat in the cafeteria of Jingyin. Deputy Director Chen sent a schedule to Lu Qin, which made Lu Qin very grateful. After completing the audit pass, the two went downstairs. Lu Qin said to Qin Qing, "Thank you very much this time. I'll go first." Qin Qing nodded, "Goodbye." As the car came out and drove towards the door, Lu Qin subconsciously glanced at the rearview mirror. The girl's figure was already gone. You're tuning in to the Dreamy Chapters YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.